Hello everyone, welcome to BlackBox episode 13. I'm here on the back of an absolutely awful game week. I'm joined by two fantastic managers in their own right who have had good game weeks, so it's going to be a painful one for me. But yeah, we've got a very special guest today.
Do you want to introduce him
in a minute?
Do you want? You've got a full introduction prepared, haven't you? This is like a red carpet you're rolling out. Go on.
I have. Well, we're joined by Jay Eggerstoff, and I imagine most people know the man from such things as the tour of his kitchen, Kane Exit, or the fact he was the #1 ranked fantasy football manager for three seasons, I believe, Jay. I think you've got some. You've got his rank history, Mark.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up now.
I'm not going to let you talk, Jay. I'm just going to run through. I'm just going to run through your rank.
It's absolutely crazy. I was looking at it before. You come in the top 10k in 8 of the first 9 seasons. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, did you? It's funny because Az once asked me about my record, and I didn't know like how many top 1,000 finishes I had. It's not something I remember. Let's test Jay and see if he knows. How many times have you finished in the top 1,000, Jay? Come on. See, he doesn't know. See.
3.
When you finish that many times.
3. Yeah, he's got it right. Yeah, 3 times. Yeah, incredible.
I've got it
3 times.
Yeah.
3 times in the top 1,000. 11 finishes, 5k or under. I mean, apart from 2018-19, which didn't happen, your highest ever rank was 14,594. Or lowest rank was 14,000 in 13 seasons. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
I'm blushing. I'm not used to such praise, so you know.
Well, and it's good to see you back. You're doing well this season as well because we've got our ranks on the screen. I know that Az won't be want to draw an attention to this, but 114,000 already. So you're having a good season again. You're back. I mean, you're back on the scene and back doing bits in FPL, which is great. And enjoying the season so far. It's an odd one.
Yeah, I think the first 3 or 4 weeks I wasn't. All the high scores, and I really didn't enjoy like the games being Friday and then through like one every couple of hours. I found that really tricky to adapt to. But actually, as it settled down and as I've got used to it, it's almost in a way quite enjoyable now that especially I think it's coincided being on lockdown, and where I'm at is we're in tier 3, so there's not much you can do at weekend anyway. So like wall-to-wall football actually gives your mind something to focus on. And the competition this season is so good, isn't it? There's so many teams that could win it at the top of the league. It's just made the FPL game brilliant because there's just so many talking points.
I think because we're seeing every game, we're watching every game, it is a bit brutal. Do you not find that if you haven't got a certain player and you're fearful of him, you're watching that match, and it's like that's what I'm finding quite difficult. I mean, we're going to talk about a certain player a lot tonight, I'm sure, but it's yeah, I mean, do you find that? Do you find it? Because I think that's definitely something which has hit the community, as in there's, Twitter is more alive with kind of FOMO stuff, and, this is my captain, etc.
A good mate of mine, John, summed it up really well after about 5 or 6 game weeks, and he said, when you have a bad start to the game week, it feels like, like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
So you sit and watch one game and you play a blank, then you watch the next one, and you start thinking like, I'm having a disaster because it's Saturday night and I've got like 3 points. And then you realise there's a whole load of players yet to play. And conversely, like last weekend, I think, I can't remember the running order, but basically, in about the first 5 matches, every one of my players had scored. Not that I don't mean scored a goal, but, contributed points. So I was like, right in the middle, I had the best weekend because I knew I was like, I had an awesome FPL weekend. I had loads of players left to go, and ended up with a great score. So it can really.
So imagine the complete opposite of that, Jay. That was my weekend.
Right. Yeah, so you had death by 1,000 cuts, right?
That was death by 1,000 cuts.
You were just like, ow, ow, ow.
I mean,
everything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
Yeah, looking at your rank, Jay, you haven't had too many bad weekends, but going to someone who has had a bad weekend, should we bring your team up, Az? Come on, we can't put it off any longer, can we? So
let's just. I've already done this on the scout card.
I know.
It's quite cathartic in a way.
You have to do it twice a week. It must be agony because I mean, when you have a bad game, it's the last thing you need. But go on, talk us through this tale of woe. You better go for your team for the podcast listeners.
Yeah. So the team on paper looked great. I tweeted it out before the game week. I had loads of nice comments. Team looks really good as like you're going on for 100 points as you're going to do really well.
You always get that, though, don't you?
It was not 100 points. I've got Martinez in goal. Obviously didn't have the game, but I didn't feel like it was worth a transfer. Chilwell, James, Lamptey, Fernandes, Son, Mahrez captain. More on him in a second. Ziyech, Jota, Vardy, Calvert-Lewin, and then Mopé still there on the bench. I mean, I know it was obviously going to be bad as soon as that City game finished because Mahrez played one of the best games I've ever seen him play for City. He was absolutely brilliant. Could have had 2 assists, highest expected assists in the league. Blanked, got a bonus point, which kind of shows how well he played. But De Bruyne was captained by so many people. He was just the obvious pick. I don't begrudge him. He got a penalty. We know he's on penalties. He did a great assist for Sterling. He deserved that.
He could have got more again.
If anything,
could have got more. Yeah,
I know. So it was pretty brutal. But then Fernandes was benched. Ziyech came off injured after 20 minutes. Jota was benched. Just Leeds scored in the first sort of 5-6 minutes, which ruined my double Chelsea clean sheet. It wasn't death by 1,000 cuts. It was like guillotine. Like constant guillotine of all my body parts.
I got to say, when we brought your team up, I saw Jay shaking his head already, so I wanted to go to him just then. But so, what were you shaking your head about, Jay? What have you spotted?
Maupay.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at pronunciation.
Well, I bought in Jota as the Mopé replacement, and I didn't need to get rid of Mopé to bring him in. So Mopé is just there because selling Mopé. So like Mahrez to De Bruyne wouldn't have been possible just by selling Mopé. You see, so it wasn't like Mopé isn't actually that big a problem in terms of if I move him down to Brewster, I only save 1.5, 1.6, which doesn't really help me.
That's a lot. And I like the way that Mopé's been taken off penalties just to decrease his value even more today. It's like, is he going this week? As I know we'll get to transfers later, but is he going this week?
No,
he's going to stick around. He's basically going to be your Podence, isn't he?
I've done my transfers. He's just a bench player. He's like Brewster. When I need the money,
he's not like Brewster if he's 1.5 more expensive. That's the point, isn't it? And now he's not on pay.
Brewster's an enabler. Like if I wanted De Bruyne at this point, I'd need to take a -8, which would obviously involve Mopé going out. But for now, Mopé stays. He's got Fulham coming up soon. He's going to bang a hat-trick.
You can tell you're a Brighton fan.
Not really. I don't want him. I hate him. I think he's a terrible FPL pick and he's a terrible player for Brighton. But
Jay, ask him about Lamptey. Go on, ask him about Lamptey as well, because he loves to talk about Lamptey being the best fullback in the Premier League. Go on.
He's getting 20 points soon.
I really don't want to. I know where you're going with Lamptey. It's just he plays for Brighton. Come on, Az.
But as we're about to see later on, Brighton's defence statistically keeps being like right up there with the very best defence and finds a way to concede every game. I mean, they have got to be.
I think you're just unlucky there, Az. I'm looking at your midfield. I did watch that City
That's all
game.
I wanted. That's all. Right,
the City game, Mahrez was brilliant, and I don't like Mahrez, and I owned him at the over the summer in the restart, and it was the most uncomfortable thing owning him because I find him quite flaky. His style of play, he'll either get hat-trick or, as we saw on Saturday, he'll not contribute very much. You've had a player injured, Ziyech, after 20 minutes. That hurts. And Jota, I know we'll probably come to it in a bit, obviously, with the Salah stuff. You were just a victim to rotation that we kind of saw coming. But at the same time, those three players could easily have all scored 10 points each, and you'd be sat with another 40 points.
It was just one of those weeks. Everyone gets them like once or twice a season. Just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
And the thing is, you were punished, right? As we said, like everybody else did very well because the heavy hitters all came in. And, you took a punt on Mahrez. You had Ziyech, which is actually quite risky given how, the template in midfield is there, isn't it? And you went Jota, who was always going to be a risk. And all three of them failed for you. And meanwhile, everybody came in.
It was everyone else hauling. Kane, De Bruyne, Salah. That's what really, really did it. Mark, just one thing from the chat. A few people are saying that Jay's volume's quite low. I don't know if you
It
can turn
is,
it
but
up.
there's not a lot I can do about that on the feed. Obviously, on the podcast, I can change it, but there's not a lot I can do.
What
about
if I put some if I've got some different headphones?
Yeah, if you've got a different mic, that might be useful. But there's nothing.
Hopefully
I
in a
can...
different room, Jay.
Yeah, take us around the house and stuff like that. That's all right. I'll take the Mickey out of Az for a bit longer. Should we look at my team while Jay's not around? Let's look at my team. Then he doesn't get a chance to dig into me. I did all right. I think it's with my team, right? And it's what we talked about with because we're watching every match. I thought I was flying, and then obviously as the game week went on, my rank increase went down. At one point, you texted me saying, "Oh, you're in the top 100,000," but no, it just didn't happen, did it? And it was okay.
When Souček scored, I was like, "Oh, he's in for such a monster week now."
I was absolutely flying when Souček scored, but it just wasn't to be after that. So. I don't know. I can't moan, can I? Because I got De Bruyne in and he did the business again. And, Kane, Calvert-Lewin got the goal. Cancelo did all right for me. And Cancelo really should have done even better, shouldn't he? I mean, him and Mahrez down that right-hand side for City looked so good throughout the game.
Really good.
Yeah. But, I took the clean sheet. It's fine. Jay, are you with us still? You fine? No, we can't hear you.
No,
we can't hear you. Perhaps it was a bad idea.
You might need to swap it on Squadcast.
Yeah, perhaps it was a bad idea taking Jay off. Maybe go back to the other ones, Jay. This
is like BlackBox, initiations, though, isn't it? Like you've got to have a few technical issues, and then
when Jay's on, it's pretty traditional. Yeah, I mean, Brewster came on. I was disappointed with Brewster not starting again. I mean, it's like.
So predictable. It's why, and do you know what? It's one of the other reasons why I'm not in a mad rush to get rid of Mopé, because I just don't want. I said it last. I just don't want Brewster. I'm getting Welbeck. If I move Mopé down, I'm getting Welbeck.
Welbeck's a good.
I'm not going for Brewster.
I think that's the right move. Anything to comment on that, Jay? On my team at the moment, there, what you see? Any weaknesses? Still can't hear you. We've still got a problem with Jay.
No.
We shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have listened to the chat and changed his microphone. Yeah, you need to go into Squadcast, Jay, and select a different option for your microphone.
This is all the chat's fault.
Yeah, we should not have listened to the chat. We should have just made the low volume.
Who said and kick them and ban them.
Can you select your microphone, Jay, in that? Otherwise, what we'll have to do, we'll have to go back to Zoom and not record on Squadcast, which won't be great for the podcast because then we'll have rubbish sound.
David Jack.
So let's hope he gets it back. I can edit all this out. Okay. I don't know what to suggest then. Well, I mean, basically, if we don't use Squadcast, we're not going to be able to put a podcast out this week. So I guess that's what we'll have to do.
We can from the YouTube one.
Yeah, but Jay will be really low volume, and there'll be nothing I can do about that. So, whereas if he can get Squadcast connected, Jay, can you disconnect from Squadcast and come back in again?
John Lawler, we have so many technical issues because we're all useless. What do you want from us?
Well, we wouldn't have done. We should have just left Jay with lower volume, basically, because it would have been fine on the Squadcast. And Jay, as he described himself, as technical as Oliver McBurney, so it was never a good idea. Right, so Jay's left the Squadcast. And if you join again, Jay, I think we should just
switch the beers this time, though.
I think we should just switch to Zoom and not put a podcast out this week, to be honest.
We could stop the stream and start again, Mark.
No, that's going to be more complicated, though, isn't it? That's the thing. We're never doing that again. We're never swapping microphones in the middle of the stream. Can you join the session again, Jay? Oh, that's it. He's joined again. Yay, we got him back. We got him back. Look at that. Look, we can cut all that out of the podcast. That's totally fine. Yeah, so if you're listening on YouTube and Jay's a bit low in volume, tough luck. We're not going to change it because if we do that...
Only 900 people watching, boys.
So it's fine. Jay, my team's up on screen. I was just talking about Brewster. You got Brewster as well. Are you disappointed in him? Are you expecting anything out of him?
Brewster?
Yeah.
I feel a bit aggrieved with Brewster. So I brought him in on the wild card on the gamble that I thought he'd either go on loan from Liverpool, or obviously what happened, he got bought by another team. And I just don't understand really why he's not starting. I don't understand why they paid all that money for him. And what did he get on Sunday? He got about 10 minutes at the end. And you're at the bottom of the league, and he's a young lad, he's a goal scorer, he spent a lot of money on him. It just doesn't really add up to me. So
he was a weird signing for them. He doesn't suit their style at all. He's completely unproven in the Premier League, and like
it smacks a bit like what was he called at Bournemouth? Solanke. That felt
or Jordan
the same.
Ibe. I don't know how they keep getting so much money for these like completely unproven players. It's genius.
Well, the thing is with Brewster, you're right, he is unproven. He had great potential, and I think Sheffield United just panicked. They were like, well, we need a goal scorer. We can see that. And he was the one available. Palace were in for him, but not many other teams went in for him other than Palace, it seemed. They were the only other team to firm up their interest. I had great hopes for him, but you're right, the style of play for Sheffield United is not suited him. I think he is a decent player, but he's just not
I don't think he's
chances.
had the game time. I think you're right, maybe the style of play, but at the same time, you've got to, if you buy a number 9 striker, a goal scorer, you've got to give him a run of games, haven't you?
I know. I know.
Especially when you've scored, what have they scored? About 3?
Yeah, I mean, that's the...
Especially when you're playing Burke.
Yeah,
Burke has to be one of the worst strikers I've ever seen in the Premier League.
You know, he was a young, been away in the Bundesliga, hadn't he? He's like a flop, and I don't even think he's a striker, is he?
No, he's a winger. He was always a winger at Forest, and
now he's playing up front, and Brewster's on the bench, and
Wilder's just gone for pace and power. Brewster doesn't necessarily bring that, and I can understand it in a way, but it's pretty negative. You've got to give Brewster more minutes and give him and feed him, and he'll get goals. I think so. We'll see. Let's get onto your team, Jay. Let's get to familiar territory for you. You've got to be happy with the return, have you? Other than Brewster, obviously, you've got Bamford and Calvert-Lewin up front rather than Kane. So you've gone Son rather than Kane. Do you? I mean, obviously, Podence is the weak link there. I had him for ages as well. Couldn't get rid.
He's the employee that can't get fired.
Yeah.
Keep, having him in a HR meeting, and he survives one more.
His HR files like that.
See, he's your Mopay.
He is. He is his Mopay.
Yeah. We've all got one.
But then the irony of these players, of course, last week or the week before when he scored, he was on the bench. So it's so frustrating, isn't it? You stick with these guys and they let you down like that.
That's the beauty of Mopay. He never delivers.
I feel really sorry for Podence because he just always gets subbed off, doesn't he? He's like the fall guy. Just let the guy play a full game. So pretty happy with that. I'm just looking at it now.
So your team for the podcast listeners, do you want to read through your team, because it's a pretty strong lineup.
Okay, so we know I'm bad at pronunciation.
Yeah,
so
that's why it's all the fun though.
Is that right?
Meslier we go with. I think Meslier.
Right, I can say Robertson. That's easy. Diaz, Chilwell, De Bruyne, Podence, Son, Bruno, Bamford, Calvert-Lewin, and Brewster. And then subs, Grealish was obviously didn't have a game, and then the Mitchell and Ferguson.
I love the way you've got the Palace pair on the bench, Mitchell and Ferguson, just in case one of them turns up.
They sound like a detective duo.
They do.
And I need a detective to go and find where they are. I've not seen them for about 6 game weeks. And Ferguson, spent big money on him, didn't they? And he was injured in pre-season and just hasn't. Has anyone seen him?
There was a tweet. Yeah, there was a tweet of him smiling in training. So we've seen that much.
Right. When was that?
That was last week. So we know he's smiling.
The excitement on Jay's face then. Look at some minutes.
The only thing I could find online was he went to give out some books at a primary school or something like that, and even the kids.
But I'll tell you what, Jay. When he gave those books out, he looked really sharp, really sharp. So hold on to him. No problem at all. Should we look at the great, the good? Because I put Jay in the perspective of this as well. This league, Jay, is effectively one that is run by Greyhead, who writes an article, a brilliant article on Fantasy Football Scout. Read that every week if you can, because he always manages to put a theme in there. And he's got me and Az in the top league by default, only for fun, basically. So we feature on this show, to be honest, with Fabio Borges, Fabio Borges, Jay, is the current top Hall of Fame guy.
Yeah. A lot of time for
So
Fabio.
he's
Mark, I
yeah.
was going to ask you, what was your highest rank in the Hall of Fame?
I was
you were
top.
You were in top 5.
Yeah, no, I was
Were you
top,
top?
for a while. Yeah, it
Right.
was. I was top for about 6 weeks, I think, a few seasons. When I had that season, where I was 114, 112 in the world. I think I was top for a while. But it's so. I mean, like I looked, and Jay, you're 57th in the world, which is really unforgiving given the career you've had. And I'm like 80. I'm in the 80s, so I'm below you. I think if you have one kind of tepid season, you drop right out, and that's Fabio's secret. Fabio Borges just had incredible season after incredible
What's
season.
it calculated on? Is it like the last 10 years or the last 5
Yeah, well, it
years or
counts
what?
every season, but then as the seasons go back, the weighting of that season is less. So it obviously counts your most recent seasons as the most
So it
important.
doesn't factor in that I've been playing since like the 80s.
No, afraid not. So yes, length of service doesn't count.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
in the great and the good, Fabio Borges still out in front. FBL General Magnus Carlsen is third. I'm in a tussle with Neil from Fantasy Football Scout and Tom Freeman, who's had a good game week, had a very good game week. Came in with 89 points to mine 77. As 51 points, we fell 602,000 places.
Oh my god! It is honestly. I would say in all of my seasons playing FPL, I think it was my worst ever week.
Is it worse because everyone else is doing well? Did that? I mean,
Yeah,
right.
it was worse just because of how many people had De Bruyne or Salah captain or Kane. Like it was just such a bad week to have a bad week.
Yeah.
And as soon as Mahrez blanked, I knew it was going to be bad. But it was probably even worse than I than I anticipated. Zaha as well. I mean, that was a real kicker. Zaha getting
Killer,
worse,
wasn't it?
but for all of us really.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's so highly owned. Yeah, nasty.
What's interesting, if we look at the second table there, number of transfers made and hits. Obviously, I'm right out in front on the hits. That might well go up to 24 after this week as well. Captain points. I thought I was doing well on 180 points, and to be fair, only FBL General's got more than me in the Great and the Good League. Look at Jay, 192 points on your captain. So whatever you're doing on those, Jay, you're doing well. So is there a strategy? Is there a secret this season? Clearly not.
Yeah, I want to say that there is,
Insightful,
but
Jay. Good to have you back.
There isn't, is there really? It's just you've just got to, as we all know, if you get that right, that's the golden ticket, isn't it? That can save you.
Absolutely.
So we talked about it before. So De Bruyne, Saturday afternoon, what did he get? 11 points was it? No more. Whatever he got.
14.
So already you're well on your way, aren't you? And it's you've got the rest of the weekend to go, so you get it right, and it can save you. And to Az's point, if Mahrez had scored, that would have stuck on probably another 16 points maybe if you'd include the bonus.
Because he got a couple of bonus. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a different story, isn't it? Based on one kick of a football.
So I mean, I'm selecting captains based mainly on fixture. I'm copying a strategy that a guy Severt got used last season, because I look back at my last season and I captained people against the top 6 a few times, and I didn't captain players against the bottom 6 often enough. So I'm doing more of that, and I'm being more conscious of fixtures coming up and making sure I've got the right player. Do you naturally do that? Do you naturally look ahead and think about it?
I think so. I remember it was probably a few years ago when I finished. I can't remember. I finished pretty high. I can't remember where. Was it the year I got like 100 and something, possibly?
Pretty high. Yeah.
Sorry, that sounded like it.
All rolls into one another, Jay.
Could have been any of 11 seasons.
I didn't mean that. But I really vividly remember one Christmas going from I think it was Ibrahimovic was playing. That's how long it was, however long ago that was. And going from Costa and then having to move that night to beat the price rise, and then Ibrahimovic playing 2 days later. And then even factoring in a little bit on rotation and really making sure I had that key captain every time, but wasn't taking points hits ideally to get them. And I remember it just worked really well. And obviously it's pretty obvious that's a great strategy, but it's not always that easy to do. So as we can see down the line, the Spurs fixtures swing again, don't they, in game week 16, I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay, people are probably going to get rid of Kane and or Son and or both. And then it's going to be hard to get them. It's going to be hard to get Kane back in when you've got all the money in midfield without doing a points hit.
Yeah, so it is important to look ahead. And another thing I've noticed here, your team value is second only to Magnus Carlsen. His team value is 104.1. Yours is out at 103.1. He's played. I mean, you both played the wild card, so that might have helped. But how do you approach team value? Because there's a lot of not controversy, but me and Az are in the camp where early transfers, do it when you can and try and get value in. And there's a school of thought which is very popular, which is don't do early transfers, which because you get more information, therefore it's better to have that. Where do you sit on that? Because your team value hints that you have made some early transfers.
No, I do it late. I've always done it as late as possible. So I remember saying to when you as three first met, I remember saying to you that I'd invest 0.1, 0.2 in having all the information. That's more valuable to me.
He's one of them, Mark.
Yeah, he's one of them. Yeah, it's just me and you as against the world.
The other thing is, it's a bit of paranoia. Whenever I have, or more often than not, if I've gone early for no reason, just because like maybe I'm going out on the beers and I just want to get it done and out the way on a Friday or something, it always comes back. There's always some weird problem, and it like you find out that player's injured about half an hour later at 7 o'clock on a Friday, and you're like, what? So I always keep it as late as I can. As late as I can. Even on a Saturday morning, if I'm not doing anything, I'll do it at like 11:28, just in case. Like, especially in the COVID season, you just never know, do you, what might happen.
It's tricky this week because you've got the Champions League games and Europa League games every week, and then you've got the COVID situation as well. So it's obviously not a stupid strategy at all, but it has felt like there's been times where like I've made early transfers this week because I took Ziyech out because he's injured, so it felt less risky because obviously he's not gonna. Actually his injury was less bad than I thought it was going to be. I thought he was going to be out for ages, but it looks like it's going to be 2 weeks. But I still think there is. The early transfers I've made this week have already netted me 0.3. We'll come on to that in a bit. But
on the other hand is, and I bet everybody goes through this, you spend... do you find that on a Sunday morning or a Monday morning you make very clear decisions about what you're going to do next week? So, for example, what I've started doing is writing it down on a piece of paper that I keep in the bathroom next to the loo, right? So then when I'm there on a Sunday, I write down, this is what we're going to do next week. And then on the Friday, when I'm going mad because I've watched all these YouTube things and been on Twitter and read all the team news, when I'm going like, what am I going to do? I just go back to this piece of paper from last week, which is just really rational. So for you guys making transfers early, you're not going through all that mental torture that everybody tonight is going, what do I do with Salah? Well, if you'd gone for him on Monday night, you can just chill out.
Yeah, there is that. And Az did do that, didn't you, Az?
Well, it's funny. It's funny that Jason, because one of my BlackBox lessons at the start of the season was write down my as soon as the deadline passes and I look at my team for the next week, write down what my immediate thoughts are of what I want to do. And I said I haven't done it. I just haven't done it, and I've ended up making last minute moves for players like Mahrez when I knew De Bruyne was going to be the best option this week. I'm not denying that, but it's funny how as the week goes on, you can convince yourself that moves that you probably wouldn't have considered at the start are better and better ideas. I think that is a really good way to play. I think definitely the most sense we make is at the start of the week, and the least sense we make is right at the very end. Especially when it's like making transfers. I made transfers like a minute before the deadline, and I can tell of numerous times. Or captain changes, last minute captain changes. They're the worst.
That is really tough.
I'm fascinated by the idea of writing down your thoughts of FPL thoughts and putting them in the bathroom or the toilet. Not because to see how that improves my performance.
Not actually in the toilet. That's
no. Well, maybe in some cases it should be, but to keep them in the toilet, and I just want to see what effect that would have on my relationship. To see whether Pip would actually just pack my bags and go, "You're now leaving notes about fantasy football in."
Yeah, this is too much.
It's hidden.
Is it?
Oh yeah, that would be really weird, wouldn't it?
I really want to go to Jay's house and find his FPL notes in his bath. Where's your toilet, Jay?
We'll probably get a tour of it later.
Yeah, we will.
I did write on it the other day, like something about Pedence. I was like, look, because I've been getting really.
Did that go in the toilet?
Need to get rid of Pedence. No, I've written on it like, look, Pedence isn't that bad. He plays for Wolves in an attacking team.
Out of position.
He's good at football.
Yeah. Out of position
I watch
as well.
him play football. I go, he's good at football, and he should be good at FPL. So I've kind of written it on there, to stop me thinking, I need to get rid of him, because you don't. It's not urgent, is it? He's not.
I tell you, when you win FBLJ, you can publish these as scribbles from the toilet seat or something like that. Yeah, you can just see it published, can't you? Yeah, FBL scribbles from the toilet. That'd be amazing. That'll sell well. Let's look at the top 10k. This is the top 10k template. As you spotted some interesting movements. Maybe you shouldn't talk about movements having come from the toilet.
So remember with these, this is the team before the game week starts. So as soon as the game refreshes, the top 10k template updates, and there was some quite sort of significant moves this week. So Martinez fell out as the goalkeeper. He was I think he was the highest owned goalkeeper, and Mendy's come in, and Mendy's come in at really low ownership, only 8.9%. So it's interesting because we've got used to. I mean, Martinez was 25%. I think it shows that people have gone in completely different directions with Martinez. It's not like everyone just went to Mendy. You had people going for Melia, you had people going for Johnston on your recommendation.
Yes. No. Let me rewind. I'm sure I didn't. No.
Because I was tempted as well, but in the end I just left him, and he actually scored just as many points as everyone else.
Yeah, I know.
Some other interesting moves. I mean, James has come in for Kilman, so the Chelsea double up I think is becoming more popular. Grealish left, which I thought was interesting. I took him out as well. I regret it because the player I bought in blanked. But Grealish basically came out for Salah, which was interesting. Salah came kind of straight back in and delivered massively. James Rodriguez finally left the template, and we saw Jota come in. And Zaha left, which is interesting. Scored a massive haul, but he's out. And De Bruyne came in. And I mean, what's really interesting is you look at that midfield now, and I mean it's Son, it's Salah, it's De Bruyne, it's Fernandes, and then Jota, up front you've got Kane and Vardy there in the most owned, and Calvert-Lewin. So obviously there aren't teams that have all of these players, but what it shows is there's so many premium picks at the moment that people are going for. So the combination of those picks and the ones you have is just like, it just seems to be that's going to define your season. If you get the right combination in, if you risk it and you chop and change, you take them out and you nail that, there's massive potential there. I can never remember seeing it. It's so unbalanced. The template was what I noticed from it. Apart from Jota, the midfield is all expensive players.
We haven't got that gimme cheap midfielder or cheap striker that everyone's got in their team. So there's no sign of a budget player in that lineup really.
Well, Bamford will be back in next week. Bamford will be back in next week, I'm sure. Yeah, the fixtures, the form he's in. I think Vardy will be out for Bamford. He is great value, I think, going forward.
Yeah. There's not really any between 8 and 9 million in both midfield and attack. Is there? There's
just Jota.
Calvert-Lewin and Bamford.
It's either 6, 7, or like 11.
Jump. Yeah. So it's really tricky from that point of view.
It's interesting as well. Chelsea now have 2 of the defenders and the keeper and one of the keepers. It's like the move to the Chelsea defence is just ongoing, and you can see why.
Well, there's three Chelsea defenders in the template.
Oh, cool. Zuma.
Zuma. Zuma, James, and Chilwell. I mean, I think a lot of people would only have. I mean, there can't be many with a triple up there, but certainly 2. I think is getting really popular.
Yeah, it's great. Nice to see Reece getting in there, though. That's nice to see. Transfers at the top 10k, mate. Go on.
Sorry, one move I did do. I took Semedo out.
Yes, I know. I'm surprised you didn't celebrate that.
Semedo out for James. I was quite happy about that. When he scored the own goal, I was like, oh, thank God. I got one move.
And Reece got an assist, so...
Can you imagine if I'd had a Semedo own goal as well on top of that week?
So close. That would have been misery for you. So the transfers made and the top players. Mahrez is top there. So your man that you bought in, the top 10k followed you.
That.
Yeah. I mean, was that inspired by you on this show? No, of course not. No, but even so,
it was the same as me. I think it's just done out of kind of necessity. I think I had Grealish and I had the money to upgrade to Mahrez for free. I couldn't go for De Bruyne unless I completely ripped my team apart. And I know it kind of almost, a lot of people said it's points chasing, but I saw enough from him in that Burnley game, and Pep's comments saying he was nailed on to play that Fulham game. I just thought he was a really strong option. It was quite nice seeing this and knowing that other people followed suit, but it didn't go well for us.
Yeah. How much do you like read in? This is the top 10k currently, isn't it? This season,
Yeah.
basically. How much do you read into it as like a really strong reference point?
I think as the season progresses, it becomes a better reference point. I mean, in my mind, the top. I mean, I know I'm absolutely miles away from it at the moment, but the top 10k is still what I kind of aim for.
Yeah.
So kind of knowing what's going on with them, I think is quite useful. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, you know, at the moment, you can get a bit too obsessed with it, just like you can get a bit too obsessed with what, you know, like what you and Mark are doing, like I could be. When in reality, I just need to focus on my own team and worry about it. But I think it's interesting to see that, you know, when you see something like all those premium picks in the mix, and it's not just Salah and De Bruyne and then a load of like Zahas and Sucheks and Jotas. I think it just shows that there's potential if you get it right to still move up pretty quickly.
Because I think where I'm going with that is, and I don't mean any disrespect to anyone who is currently in the top 10k, but I would argue that at any one point that could be built up of people that may be novices or not as experienced as other FPL managers who've played a long time, and therefore will make moves that an experienced manager wouldn't make, that on the one hand might pay off hugely, but on the other hand, as we've seen with Mahrez, didn't pay off.
Yeah, I think as the season goes on, that applies less. But early season, I think in the first 10 game weeks, I think that because there'll be people who played chips and got into the top 10k. And
exactly. Or like, you know, like people's like Gran have put a team in or something, and
or Cats even. There's a cat that's doing rather well, I think. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Right,
cool.
But definitely, I think we have to be careful putting too much stock in the top 10k too early in the season. But we like to keep track of it just to see, because we aspire to the top 10k, and obviously, you know, it's almost like you get into the top million, top 500k, top 100k, top 10k, and top 10k, and then when you get in the top 10k, it's like, well, where do we go from here? Well, we don't know. It depends how we play the chip. So it's steps, isn't it? Really. So you know, as and I are definitely aspiring to get in the top 10k.
I mean, it's funny how that doesn't change. I mean, you know, from when Jay started playing, and when I started playing, 2008 or whenever it was, you had like a million people less probably, and it was probably still, if I finished 10k, that's good. But now it's 7.5 million people, and it still feels 10k is still the target. When in reality, it's 100k is a better finish. But I'm not buying it. I still think 10k is always my aim. If I finish in the top 100k, I just kind of move on, I think. But if 10k is, for me, is still a good season.
Yeah, well, we set our goals at the start of the season, and I said I needed the top 1,000 finish. So
me too.
Kind of regretting that. But, well, you just don't know. You just don't know. All right, let's look at some data. Team defence. I mean, what we take from this is that move top 10k to the Chelsea defence. It's backed up by this data because they just keep getting further and further out in front. Look at the minutes per big chance conceded, 94.2 over the season. So they're conceding, on average, less than one big chance a match. And the nearest...
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, the nearest to that is Spurs out at 87.2. Now, Spurs' defence is improving. We can see it every week in Mourinho's tactics. And I don't think they've conceded for, is it 4 games, 5 games? So they are definitely the most improved defence. But Chelsea are just consistently the best so far this season. And City, Spurs and Chelsea are the 3 that are really emerging. If you look at the last 4 game weeks in the lower table, you see Chelsea still out in front even over the last 4 game weeks, despite Spurs' run of form. But it's City and Spurs and United in there as well. I mean, United defence I still don't trust. I mean, I don't think I'll have a United defender all season. How are you feeling about your defence, Jay? I mean, is there anyone outside of what you've got now that you're looking at in terms of teams you're targeting?
No, I'm pretty pleased because I've got Chilwell was a good move. Robertson I really like. And I got in on Diaz, which was a bit of a duffer because I took a -4 for him, and then he got 0 away at Spurs. But then since then he's had 2 back-to-back clean sheets, and he looks quite a threat from set pieces, and he looks quite
he does.
You know, City have really come on, I think, in the last few weeks. I think they're really going to go pretty big, I think, over Christmas.
Well,
so I'm quite pleased to have him in, be on him early.
The data shows that their minutes per chance 12.1, so they're conceding fewer chances than they now have a defence now. So they are the top defence for that. So Devon, what's interesting as well in this table, look where Everton are. Everton, in the last 4 game weeks, we picked them out last week, they're not getting any better. Second bottom for last 4 game weeks and 4th bottom overall. when you sort by minutes per
Unbelievable.
XG conceded. So that they are just sliding away.
Ancelotti.
Well, and also Chelsea
Oh,
go to
wow.
Goodison Park this week, so you've got to think. I mean, this is why I'm backing Chelsea to do pretty well. I reckon they're going to get 3, maybe 4 goals in that game, because I think that Chelsea's form is strong. Everton's defensive form is absolutely woeful. So
I mean, Pickford, you know, whilst I don't like singling out players and pointing fingers, it's all their fault. I mean, I don't think he helps, does he? He's looked. His decision making is bizarre at times, all season. And they had that game where they put, is it Olsen? There was
one game,
but it was that really weird. No matter what you do, mate, you're back on the bench next week. That was odd.
Yeah.
That was really odd.
He was better against Burnley, I thought. He looked a bit more assured and made a couple of good saves. But there's always that risk with him. You always get that sense that he could just do something.
I think whatever level of football you've played in, if you've got a goalie behind you that in the back of your mind you just don't trust, it really does affect your defence.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, right now, luckily Dina got injured for me, because I would probably have held him for the attacking potential.
Yeah.
But I think, obviously with the injury, he had to go. But I'm so kind of wedded to my attacking fullbacks that sometimes I forgive the fact they're not keeping clean sheets. I mean, I had Trent and Robertson early season. I held them perhaps too long. I want one of them back now. But I'm just thankful.
Look at Lamptey, Mark.
Well, yeah.
I agree with that. I'd say definitely for the Liverpool fullbacks, the clean sheets are a complete bonus. Just by the fact, the way that they're set up, and I guess Chilwell as well. Those teams score so many goals that if they're scoring 3 or 4 goals a week, there's like 6 to 8 chances you've got of a goal or an assist. And then if they get a clean sheet at the end, that's it's just an added bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're about the only fullbacks where you can do that with, because they're so attacking, and Liverpool scores so many goals. Dina pushes it a bit. I mean, he did look good. I mean, like at Fulham, he got 2 assists.
I love Dina.
Yeah.
I really, really like him. He's like Baines all over again, isn't he? Like, minus the penalties. But he was in my team at the end of last year, and he didn't do great. And I nearly brought him in before that Fulham game when he got 2 assists. I think that's maybe when I went for Diaz, actually, with the longer term view. But I really like him, and you're right though. It's a shame Everton just let in so many.
But they were playing wing backs in that game, and I was rubbing my hands thinking, Dina, wing back, even with the goals conceded. And they've lost that. They've lost that in their attack as well, which is why it's concerning to see their attack kind of slip
They've
away
got
a little
Ben
bit.
Godfrey.
Not a fullback though, is he? He's filling in everywhere. I mean, he's
Utility
basically
man.
he's doing a great job, but he's just not. I mean, they're going to have him at right back, I guess, and Iwobi at left wing back. Maybe.
I'd have him in goals.
Well, I mean, he's probably played there for Norwich, hasn't he? We're looking at attacks now. Liverpool attack, and we're going to talk about that in detail very soon. Still out in front over the season. 29.9 minutes per big chance this season. So they're still, in terms of the quality of the chances they're creating, they are the attack to get on. Minutes per XG, 47.8, so they're out in front for that. And even if you take penalties out of the equation, they're out in front for that, 52.9 as well. City, in terms of number of chances, are the best attack out there, so slightly ahead of Liverpool. But it's the quality of chance where Liverpool got the edge on City at the moment. So, I mean, it's been the story, isn't it? We've seen it with the eye test. City creating chances, but not gilt-edged chances like Liverpool. And they're going to need to. Aguero
They've been quite wasteful as well.
Yeah.
And then you see, like against Fulham, went 2 goals up, and at about 75 minutes, they just didn't even try. You could just tell they're just completely happy with the 2-0. Kicked the ball around. Fulham couldn't get the ball. They took the 2-0. It's frustrating.
I think you're right, but it's just not quite clicked into place for City with the personnel. Injuries, and Aguero's been out, and Sterling had an injury, didn't he? And then was it last week? I can't remember. It's the week before, wasn't it? He didn't play at all in the Burnley games.
Something wrong with Sterling, though. What's your theory on him?
Yeah, he just. Was it about 18 months ago, and was it Guardiola compared him to Messi? Do you remember that?
He probably
always a
has.
curse.
Probably has.
Or that, his
He
third
did,
best
yeah, he
in
did.
Do you remember? Or it might not have been he is like Messi. It might have been like this guy is on the trajectory to be like Messi. And I think the problem with Sterling is he doesn't make me feel comfortable when I watch him as irrespective of FPL as a football fan. He never looks in control. When you compare the player I always felt looked in control all the time was Suarez. Do you know, when you used to watch Suarez, he just looked like he was this master at just knowing what he was doing. Technically so good. Whereas you contrast Sterling, he'll go around the keeper and you just think he's going to fall over, or
is that not part of his? Is that not part of his kind of like? Because I've thought that about Sterling as well, but in a way, I kind of feel like it makes him quite hard to defend against. Because you always kind of sense that he's going to fall over, and then he doesn't, and he goes past you, or I don't know. Even the way he runs and stuff, like I don't know. I think it's part of what makes him a talent, because he's a bit more unpredictable. I don't know. Right. I mean, he's prone to being off form for quite long periods, which is a problem.
He did a classic as that. Mahrez put him through in like the opening 90 seconds in that game, and as you
How
probably
did he miss that?
Right. That's the frustration that I don't like. I was sat watching that game and I'm just like, he's not going to score. He should do. And you contrast. Let's say I know I said Suarez before, but let's say Kane. He's just so controlled in what he does. When he misses, it's just because it might be a good save or it's like very narrowly wide, but his technique is very consistent. Whereas I just think Sterling is, I don't know, just.
Don't like him then, Jay?
He's just not reliable.
I've got him on my wall.
Yeah, I know. He's a hero for. I mean, for me,
he saved my season last year.
He did, and I got him out just as you got him in, and he did that for you. I mean, he's a player that I've endorsed heavily in the past, but this season I've gone nowhere near him, and he hasn't done anything so far to make me think that's an error.
It says a lot. Do you remember last season? Did he have a couple of penalties? No, he had one in a Wolves game.
Yeah,
so I had him in.
Yeah, so did I.
And I wanted to get rid of him, and I ended up with him, and then he was taking the penalty. That, to me, sums him up. If you wanted to give one little piece of footage, it was like just such a pathetic, weak penalty. Whereas I just think a player that is reliable and has conviction, even if they miss, they just put their foot through the ball, and it's the way they strike the ball. Whereas with him, I don't know, he's just...
He scored in that game, though, I think. He did get
He did. I'm not articulating my point very well, but I don't know if people are kind of understanding what I'm saying. I think unreliable is the right word.
No, I know you want a player in your FPL team for that money who every time they get the ball you think they're gonna nail it. And Sterling and Mahrez is similar.
Mahrez is the same. Mahrez has the same problem.
He's got the potential to be an absolute world beater, or he's got the potential to blank. And even when he plays well, he can still blank. And I think we saw it with Sterling earlier in the season. He played as a false nine against Sheffield United. I think he had probably the best game he's had all season.
Right.
Blanked 2 points. And you look at someone like De Bruyne, because they've got the insurance of the penalties. I mean, De Bruyne had a good game against Fulham anyway, but didn't need it. He did one. He could have just done one pass, scored the penalty, and he's got 14 points.
I mean, that's
having that option in your team is just so strong.
But when you're spending the money you have to on Sterling, you want some consistency, and you just don't know when to captain him. Right? Away from home, he was stronger than at home last season heavily, and De Bruyne filled in the gaps. He was strong at home. But this season, there's no pattern to Sterling delivering, and you just don't know week to week if you've got him what you're going to get from him. But you need to put the captaincy on a player of that value, and you can never do it with Sterling at the moment. There's nothing.
Yeah, that's the contrast with KDB, isn't it? As a footballer, is that he will go on a pitch, and even if he's playing badly, he will deliver through balls in a certain way. He will make a run in a certain way. He will execute a shot in a certain way. And if you don't end up with a load of FPL points, it's just because. It's not because necessarily he's done anything hugely wrong or completely different. It's consistent, whereas with Sterling it just doesn't feel it's just not the same sort of player in the way that he executes his manoeuvres.
Well, he's not in the mix for the heavy hitters, but a player that is. Let's get on to the main topic that we need to discuss. Let's talk about Salah, because I was all set to. I mean, I'd made my notes. I'd left him in the toilet. It was basically Bamford coming in for Calvert-Lewin and Bruno to Salah is what I was doing. I was even on the podcast, the official one on midweek, and I said that's what I'm doing. And then at the end of the podcast, right at the end, I said, oh, unless, of course, Salah turns up tonight, thinking that was never going to happen. No, what are the chances of him turning up tonight? Maybe he'll play 20 minutes coming on a sub, but he ain't going to start. And then he did. He played the game, and not only that, he played 90 minutes. And what we've got up on screen is the minutes he's played since he's returned from COVID. So he
I've
played
got so many thoughts on
61
this.
minutes against Atalanta, 63 against Brighton, so he's eased back. 90 against Ajax, 90 against Wolves, and 90 against, I can't even pronounce that Danish team's name, Midland. I'm not even going to go there because I've just offended, I don't know how many supporters do you reckon they got? Not too many, hopefully. But the fact is he's had 3 consecutive 90 minutes now. Going into a Christmas period where they got Fulham Sunday, Spurs with 2 days of rest in between on the Wednesday, and then Palace again at the weekend, the follow, with again 2 clear days after that. I now think there is some doubt, enough doubt where I'm worried now about taking a hit and getting rid of Calvert-Lewin, which is quite a lot of surgery. I'm getting rid of a player who's already getting me points, and I'm getting rid of Bruno with the idea that eventually I'll get him back, but I'm spending 4 points. So Salah's already got to deliver, or Bamford has over Calvert-Lewin to do that. So I'm worried now, as you've already made the move, so we've got 2 different perspectives there. So I'll come to you first. How are you feeling about it, having already got Salah in? What's your concern? Or have you got any at all?
Well, I made the move early. I had to get... Ziyech was going down. Bamford looked like he was going up. And yeah, so I've already done Vardy and Ziyech to Bamford and Salah. And already made 0.3, I think, on those moves because Salah's gone up as well. I'm not. I saw him in the lineup and I thought my biggest worry was injury. If he gets an injury, then I'm going to have a big problem. I was surprised that he lasted the 90 minutes, but absolutely no part of me is worried. I think he starts at the weekend. They just can't afford to drop points at the moment, and he's had his rest in theory with the COVID. He's missed 2. He played 60 minutes in 2 games. Got subbed off early, hadn't played for a week before that. There's lots of posts around how Klopp picks his players based on fitness, according to his fitness team and levels. So I think there's a tier system of red,
read the
amber,
article.
and green.
Yeah.
Quite an interesting article. And him leaving him on sounded to me from his comments like it was a fitness thing, and he felt fine, and so why would he take him off? I don't think that anyway indicates that he's gonna be benched against Fulham. I think, like, obviously Mane is safer because he's missed the game, but I mean Jota played the 90 minutes as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to Firmino, Salah, and Mane, and Jota was benched. And I think that's more likely.
We're going to look at Mane
to me,
in a
the
bit.
biggest.
Yeah, go on.
To me, the biggest thing is I think this is just a classic case of overthinking. Like you're trying to predict a manager based on minutes and what they're going to do. It's Salah. He's playing Fulham. They're terrible. I'm just captaining him. It's the same as De Bruyne last week. It's a no-brainer captain Salah this week, I think.
You really think so? I don't think it's quite as straightforward as that because of what we've seen. I mean, when we look at Mane and how he's managed his minutes, that's what makes me wonder whether there is, because I mean the thing is, Klopp has said yes, there is a theory that he's eased Salah back in. You can see that 61 minutes, 63. Then he's played 3 consecutive 90 minutes. Right? I question whether he needed to play 90 minutes last night, having played 90 minutes against Ajax and Wolves. I just don't get it at all. When he could have picked kicker.
That's the challenge, isn't it, Mark? It's what we don't know. The big question is why. Klopp has made some very spirited statements and interviews and upset reporters by complaining about the 5 sub thing and complaining about the television schedule. And the first opportunity he has where he could have rang us 3 up and put us in the team, he decided not to. He decided to take a lot of the first team players and play them, and not only that, obviously play Salah for the full game. So I think you need to look at the question another way, which is it something to do with building up his fitness post-COVID? I mean, I was looking at some of the stuff this morning. So he didn't have a game from the 8th of November to the 25th of November. So
16
the other
days.
players that played, right, so they'll have played 2 or 3 international games. What were the other things that I'd... right, one of the things was like, it seems to me that Salah is what I'd call a rhythm player. So he seems to prefer to play a match than maybe train. I don't know. These are the bits we don't see behind the scenes. Is he now sat at home with a day off whereas otherwise he'd have been doing an intense training session. We don't know. We're going off the stuff we can see. So it's more a case of like, why has Klopp done that? And then secondly, the bit is, which I was looking at is, as you said there, you think Fulham are terrible. I don't think Fulham are that bad. Right, and hear me out. So I thought they looked okay against City at the weekend, and I don't mean that in any way they were going to get a draw or maybe even score, but I thought they looked united as a team. I thought they changed their strategy at half-time a bit. They made a couple of subs to make sure they didn't get absolutely tonked, and it getting a 2-0 away at City for them, I think it's like winning. That's pretty good, isn't it?
I know, it's a good result. Yeah.
When I boiled it down even more, they've taken 7 points since game week 4. That's the same as Arsenal. Everton have only taken 8 in that time. So
Arsenal are not a good bar though.
Right.
No.
So if you scrap the first 3 games, you then look at the last 2 games, Leicester and Man City away. That record is played 2, won 1, lost 1, 4-2 against 3, points 3. If you'd have rewound 2 weeks and I'd have put that up on the screen and gone, what do you think? You'd have gone, no way. Like, no chance. That's not going to look like that. And then finally, they're 11th in the form table. And had they scored one of those 2 penalties they missed, the Cavallero one or that Panenka from Lookman, that, let's just assume that would have got them another draw. They'd be 9th in the form table.
So is your point that Klopp can't underestimate them?
Yeah, so I'm going a long way about it. My point is, people are saying, oh, he's given him a game against Midtjylland or whatever they're called, and he's going to have the day off against Fulham. And I'm like, Fulham aren't that bad. Fulham away, and another factor is they'll have some fans in. Is that right? Is that going to be?
Fulham should have, yeah. If
right?
London
So
is
it's
their
their first home game of the season where they've been allowed fans. They're on a reasonable run where they've actually won a game recently away at Leicester, and played all right last week. If you look at that and condense that the last 2 games, I think Klopp would be very naive, given how tight the league is at the top, to be planning this elaborate, I'm going to play Salah away in this dead rubber and then give him the weekend off. That just seems bizarre.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, Klopp said about that game, he said, we wanted to rest as many players as we could, but we still needed a couple of leaders out on the pitch. So he's picked some players in the starting lineup who he thinks can kind of lead the team. So Jota was there, Salah was there.
Well, pick Kenny Dalglish or Carragher. That's what I would do. If it was, you know what I mean? If
that might have been enough.
That big a problem.
Yeah, and I mean, there's someone in the chat saying about they got two and a half. They would have got 2.5 million, I think, if they'd won that game, or something like that. So there was, it wasn't a complete draw. There was still, reasons to go out and put a strong performance. I don't know. Are you bringing them in then, Jay?
Yeah. There was something. I'm just looking at I'm not looking at my phone being rude. There was a headline on the BBC website and I woke up. It was like Salah breaks European scoring record.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, for Liverpool.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, you don't know, do you? He could have just gone to Klopp. I don't know if these conversations happen. These are like when you're a schoolboy and you imagine how it happens. Like, hi Gaffer, can I play? And it's like, no problem.
Of course you can, Mo.
Exactly. I'm sure that doesn't happen. But you know what I mean? He might, as an elite sportsman, say, I want that record.
Well, that Klopp said afterwards he didn't know he was in a position to break that record. When the press said that, Klopp went, "Oh, is it what? I didn't know."
Really?
So I don't. Yeah, maybe.
Right. Maybe.
Who knows? I mean, it's. I don't know. I look at it as well. I look at his record his appearances over Christmas last year, and obviously they had the World Club Championship as well then, and so Salah was absolutely flogged then, without too much of an issue. He did get a rest in early November. That was the previous one, but he played an awful lot of minutes over Christmas. But the only thing there is Klopp didn't have Jota, and I think we've said this on the show for a couple of episodes now. When you throw Jota in there as somebody that Klopp trusts a bit. To replace Mane and Salah. That's the only bit of doubt, right? If Jota wasn't around, we wouldn't be having this discussion because there's no way Origi plays instead of Salah at the weekend. But he could play Curtis Jones in the more attacking midfield role, and he could play Jota as part of the three with Firmino and Mane. So there is that's what gives me a little doubt. And last night it was a big doubt. I woke up this morning and I felt better about it. And I looked at some of the data. I'm feeling much more positive that he is going to start, but I don't think
you're going to get him in there, Mark.
I think that the important issue, Mark, is not is Salah a yes or no?
Mm.
That's what everyone's focused on, me included. You know, you're thinking that it's actually who to get rid of out your team to bring him in.
Mm.
That's what people need to. I actually woke up the other day and thought I might just not get him at all. And I think De Bruyne is a great captain option this week, and he's got subsequent fixtures. So in your case, you're losing who's it? Calvert-Lewin and
I'm losing Bruno because I don't think Bruno. It's hard. It's tough. Yeah.
So in my case, I'm the same. I'd lose Son or Bruno. I've got the money in the bank. I don't have to take a hit. But I mean, that's a really hard decision. And to look at losing Bruno, not just for the upcoming game week, but for Christmas, you've basically binned him, haven't you?
No, well, I'd have enough money if I do the Bamford DCL to Calvert-Lewin to Bamford move. I'd have enough money to get him back and move. Salah and Bruno will basically alternate over Christmas because I've got a decent bench.
You'd sell Salah and bring Bruno back? Is that what you mean?
Eventually, yeah, probably. I don't think Bruno. I think Bruno. We're looking a minute. I think Bruno could get rested at Sheffield United. I think he's going to be a risk of rest there.
Oh, you're playing such a dangerous.
It is a dangerous game to play. Exactly, but I can't afford.
What about De Bruyne at West Brom?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to look at those in a minute. There's absolutely a chance that these players are going to get a rest, but we can't.
This is what I mean. I'm just
and playing God is sometimes like can just send you.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm not bothering.
What do you do, Jay? You can't have them all, right? So you've got to commit to some of them, right? I can't have Bruno, Salah, and Fernandes. And Kane.
There's genuinely an argument to not have Salah at all, and it's completely viable because you just stick the captaincy on De Bruyne, the vice captain on Fernandes, and if De Bruyne has a rest, you've got Fernandes, and you just forget it. But
I feel the same about De Bruyne. I think Salah and Fernandes for me are the most important picks, and it's De Bruyne who I'm not going for. I think you can make a case for any of them.
Yeah, of course you can.
They're all going to score similarly, I think, because they're all just such amazing options. And the mistake I made recently was I put Vardy in the same category as those three, and so I moved for Vardy thinking those two fixtures were good and he would match, KDB and the others, and he wasn't. But that's the issue. I think Fernandes, and Kane as well. Son's probably a bit lower down, but I think Fernandes, Kane, KDB, and Salah are just up here. And I think as long as you've got as long as you've got three of them.
So you're taking De Bruyne out of that, then? You think he's the disposable one?
Well, no, I don't. I don't think he's the disposable one. I think if you've got him, you keep him, obviously. My team, to rip my team apart to get De Bruyne in, I don't think is my most viable strategy. And I also don't really want to be juggling them around because I don't know who's going to play one week. I'd rather just keep a core of the three.
He's just done for you, on the last game week. You've just had an awful game week, and De Bruyne's come in with 28 points. So he's just hurt you once. So you can't say that that's not a high risk.
Well, it is high risk, but if you haven't got Salah, it's high risk. If you haven't got Fernandes, it's high risk. If you've got Kane, it's high risk. You can't have them all.
No, you can't.
It's what we were saying before. So I think sometimes where people can go wrong. I still think that my target every game week is to get 50 points, and people will contest that and go, "No, you need more if you're going to finish in the top 10k." Or there's 7 million players now, not 3 million players. You need more for these reasons. I still just work to that 50 target and say to myself, how quickly can I get there? And how that's made up is 11 players, and one of them you get to captain. And between a lot of them, you lads need to go out there and get 50 points. And if you do that, then I'm happy. And if I aim for that, you'll go past it, and that flies you up the rankings. So sitting there procrastinating, going, I need to fit all these people in. And as is exactly right, yes, you might miss out on the points of player X, but you might benefit from the points of player Y that somebody else doesn't have. And that you can't drive yourself bonkers because you can't fit everybody in. You just need to get as many points.
The other issue as well is if you I mean the hokey cokey strategy I think is a fair one because of how much potential these players have got, but I also don't think it's completely wise to completely write off all of the the less expensive players. I mean, players like Grealish and James and even like
Mope.
getting the combination, Mope, yeah, getting the combination of those right though. You know, if you had Zaha this week, everyone's worrying about De Bruyne, Fernandes, and Son and all that. If you had Zaha and you got 18 points, like just sitting there, you've made it up. So.
Exactly.
This is the problem. If you're using a transfer every week to move Salah to De Bruyne and then De Bruyne back to Fernandes and then Fernandes around, you're not tapping into
it's not.
good fixtures
You ended up
for the
with
cheaper
pedants
players.
forever.
It's not every week. To be clear, I'm wildcarded in 15, and then we've got double game weeks, and the double game weeks are going to shape our team for at least 3 or 4 game weeks until they're out of the way. So it's not forever. It's just these next 4 game weeks, I'm looking at it going, I'm going to use one slot and swap it. And in game week, after game week 15, I play the wild card. And then who knows what happens after that? I'm gonna build the wildcard team based on the double game weeks probably, and I can't really speculate what that's going to be. So I'm not thinking this is a strategy I'm going to keep long term. It's just for Christmas, and to be fair, Christmas is the period where traditionally we go rotation is an issue. Now often it's not. We blow it out of proportion, but I think there is a case with Liverpool now when you throw Jota in there that rotation is more of an issue. I don't think we can say it's not. It is more of an issue because Jota's there.
That is a problem, and it is part of. It's the reason why I don't have Jota, and it's the reason why I woke up the other day and thought, do I really need Salah because I'm so happy captaining De Bruyne, and as I sat down to watch the Spurs Arsenal last week, and you look at the stats for Son, you think, I'm going to get rid of Son, and he's by far he's way out, isn't he? The top scoring midfielder. And my plan is to get rid of him and bring in a guy that I know from experience is I don't even need to be very good at FPL to know that there's 4 players and 3 spots for Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I'm walking into a potential problem.
I can't sell Son. I think the only way that I could move for De Bruyne would be either an 8-point hit to do Mahrez, Mope, and get rid of someone else, or to sell Son. And I just don't want to sell him. I just think his form is so good at the moment that not for 9.3 million or whatever he is, he's just an absolute bargain.
Well,
so I'm just not getting rid of him.
The problem with Son is if we look at this is player data last 4 game weeks.
Yeah.
And in terms of minutes per XGI, goal involvement per non-penalty, he's down in 57th. So Spurs' attack is just not producing numbers that reassures us because of the way Mourinho's set up over the last 4 game weeks. So Kane and Son are right down.
You're right, and I'd looked at Son before, and I think I remember this right. He's either blanked or got a double-digit haul like all season. So you either get nothing or everything. Whereas your Brunos and De Bruynes and people, it's a lot more consistent. You'll get 6s and 7s along the way.
But is that more forgivable because of his price point? Is that as you're waving your arms in exasperation?
I am. I'm animated. I'm animated discussion. Well, I just think this Son thing is pretty much why I'm just not a massive fan of XG. Because to me, Spurs countering, Son running up the pitch and like scoring an absolute worldie shouldn't mean that he loses out.
But he can't do that every game, can he? Right?
Yeah, but he's clinical. He's in like arguably the form of his life.
Yeah,
he's clinical. He's playing in a team which is completely built to suit his strength of hitting teams on the counter. I don't care if he's bottom of the XG list. Like he only needs 1 chance, and it's literally how Spurs set up. He doesn't need to have an XG of 5.
He is only getting 1 chance a match. Look, he's minutes per chance 59.5 compared to like Bruno on 19.7. Right, so he's only getting on average 1 and a bit chances per match. Right, so he's got to take that chance. And what you're saying is he is converting it, but can he possibly keep that up?
Right, and also we're sat here going, oh, what about Jota and what about this? Well, there's Gareth Bale sat on the Spurs bench, fresh as a daisy.
Don't speak to us about Bale because he goes all dewy-eyed.
No, but Son's not going to play every week, is he?
No,
players are.
Kane will.
Of course he will. He'll play every week. He'll just get. He's more likely to get subbed, I think, at 75, 80 minutes, and to bring a Moura or a Bergwijn or whoever on. Kane's going to play 90 minutes every match.
Yeah.
You get that from him.
That's the only reason I'm keeping Kane at the moment. It's tempting to get rid, but I know he's going to play every game. I don't have to worry about that slot. And he'll chip in. He might not get double figures, but he'll get me something every game, I think.
I'm just so happy with Son at the moment. Watching Spurs play, watching how Mourinho
Yeah, I
has
get
just
it.
instilled that counter-attacking ethos that they are so well drilled now, and it just suits his game
But
absolutely perfectly.
but at Liverpool in game week 13, will he even get a chance? The way they'll set up at Liverpool, that's a blank waiting to happen, isn't it? It is for Kane.
0-0 all day,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Right,
Or,
so
or,
that's
playing for a 0-0.
so he's got to get something at Palace. Not an easy place to go. I think keeping Son is a sound strategy, just as I'm keeping
Not with
Kane.
Mitchell and Ferguson.
When he gets out of that classroom, you watch him go. I just want to bring up Mane's minutes over recent game weeks, because I think when we're talking about where he's building up Salah's fitness, that's all very well until you look at the fact that Mane was rested at Brighton and then rested again last night.
Just a sec.
So what is the theory there? Is that he had to pick one senior attacker and he went for Salah, and Mane just missed out? Because
yeah, I think so.
Right.
And I'd argue that Salah needs the minutes more. I mean, there's obviously talks going on with the guys who do the fitness, and I think Klopp would have said to them, give me this tier or whatever it is, and they might have said, okay, well, Mane's an orange. I'm making it.
No, yeah, go on.
But if they'd said, we think Salah would benefit from the minutes, see how he is at half time, see if he's like feeling any effects or anything. Klopp talks to him. Salah's like, I feel absolutely great.
But the thing is, right? I
want to get more goals.
You accuse me of overthinking. Listen to what you're saying there, right? You're filling in all kinds of blanks as well to give you the answer that you want. Whereas what I was doing last night was filling in blanks to give me the answer. I admit there's biases, right? There is.
No, yeah, okay, of course there is.
But it's
both
but I think overthinking, right?
I just feel like it's less overthinking to think that Klopp is going to play his strongest team every week.
Right, but my point is
would
that
be my argument.
Jota puts doubt in his head about. I mean, his strongest team is Mane, Firmino.
But he doesn't over Salah. Salah is his best player.
Oh yeah.
So Salah is the least risky player of the whole Liverpool team because he is going to miss the least minutes because he's the best player they've got.
Yeah.
So
I think
trying to preempt when he's going to be benched is trying to get into Klopp's head more because he might see Fulham as an easy game or he might see him, like Jay said, as a tricky game. And I don't think you can take him playing 90 minutes as being any kind of influence, because it could be that he's playing 90 minutes because Klopp thinks that's the best thing for him to be fit for Fulham.
Let's go back a bit then. He gets Fulham, he gets Spurs. Surely he's rested at Palace then? Or do you think he's going to play? Is he going to play 490 minutes in the space of?
Well, his minutes could be managed. If they're 3-0 up against Fulham, they take him off at 65 minutes, and then he doesn't need a rest.
Right.
You don't know how it's going to pan out. It's impossible to think that far ahead because you don't know what the situation.
I know it is impossible, but part of FPL is trying to do that, isn't it? It's part anticipating what's going to happen and who's going to be selected, and so we're not doing.
It is, but it's I just find selection like I think you can debating like fixtures and form and all this and everything is fine, but I think when you're trying to predict who's going to start every week,
the other thing I'd say
it's so difficult
on the starting bit is, in many ways, especially against the lesser teams, I'd rather a player be on at the end. So whilst I'm saying like I want them to be on the bench, I'm not saying that, but playing minutes 0 to 60 or playing minutes 60 to 90, it's not a disaster because often in a 4-5-0 win, there's a number of goals at the end of the game, towards the end anyway. That's when the opposition are tired, blah blah blah. So it's not a disaster if he's on the bench for Fulham.
Yeah. No,
that's true as well. Yeah, he got 2 goals against Stoke, didn't he? Remember he came off the bench for like 20 minutes and scored 2 against Stoke.
Yeah, I remember that. Probably had him then because I had him all the time then. Okay, all right. Well, when we get to our transfers, we'll see what the thinking is. Just looking at the other heavy hitters, looking at De Bruyne and Fernandes. I mean, we know that Fernandes was rested initially at West Ham. And he came on in the second half and broke the key passes record in one half of football. So where do we stand on these two? Because De Bruyne, I don't think is likely to be rested, but if he is going to be rested, I guess it's the EFL Cup game on the 22nd of December, and that's key, isn't it? That's where he'll get his rest, and that should be enough, hopefully. So he should play West Brom in game week 13 and give us the captain option. Do you feel that, Jay? Do you feel he's going to be a captain option then?
Well, he's wearing the captain's armband for City, and I just think at the minute in the league, he plays. I think they've had an indifferent start. I think they obviously had the season last season where they underperformed, and I really think that internally they will be saying, people have written us off. Let's get this right. And you just tell by the guy's body language, he is a winner. That guy is a winner, and he will want to play. And I think they'll scratch the EFL. They'll Arsenal away against Man City, second string. I think they'll still win that. And Arsenal likewise need to focus on the league because the position they're in. So that shouldn't be a tricky match. I think I'd expect De Bruyne to play.
No, I think
he might get his minutes managed and come off after an hour if they're 3-0 up or whatever. But
I think I see a new hunger in him as well. I see that desire to get goals is greater this season than it's been in previous seasons. Like he's getting in the box.
This is my point of I'd be happy to just leave the armband on him now, even Man United away. I think they're gonna. I think they could put 3 or 4 past United.
I know. I think City will win that game at United, and De Bruyne will do well. I think. I don't know if I'd captain him over Kane. I think I'd go Kane captain if I didn't have Salah this week. Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think. That would make sense.
Yeah. Okay. What about Fernandes? Because the risk that I'm outlining here is game week 13 at Sheffield United, because he's going to have to play. Solskjaer already rested him once, so he's made it clear that he will rest him. He's played Leipzig. He's going to play City. He's got Leeds 2 days after Sheffield United with 2 days rest.
So what's going to happen here is Solskjaer tried to be clever, and apparently he had an injury.
He had a foot injury.
Right, whether he did or not.
No, he did. He got that at Southampton. He did.
Okay. Yeah. And so the facts are they were getting beat. They were playing awful. He came on, saved the day again, and they won the game. And then they've played Leipzig, and they're out of the Champions League. It was a terrible performance, and that's no good. You and I have just said there, City are going to take them apart potentially at home. So he's going to be in a position where he's going to Sheffield United away, having been knocked out of the Champions League, been humiliated at home to Man City, and now he's going to rest Bruno Fernandes.
No, it won't happen if City beat him, will I? He can't. I mean, there's 2 schools of thought. One, he knows he can't do without him, so should he protect him? But I think the need to get results when his job is under pressure will mean that he'll have to play.
Fernandes will play every minute, I think, unless he's got a knock.
Solskjaer's been to see the same HR lady as Daniel Podence.
and got away with it,
And got away with it. How is he still there?
She's so soft. That's basically it.
It's he pulls it out, doesn't he, at the last minute. The last one was the Everton game. And arguably, that turnaround at West Ham, imagine going into the City game, having lost at West Ham, lost at Leipzig.
I know.
Right? So it doesn't feel too bad at the minute because they didn't lose to West Ham and they got a comeback victory, and that feels quite nice. But imagine had they not. This guy's always one match away from losing his job.
Well, I think some United fans would like to think that's the case, but it doesn't seem to be. But I think generally, we're looking at De Bruyne resting in the EFL. Hopefully that's the only rest he gets. And I think
on Fernandes as well, you can tell a bit like to your point on De Bruyne, his body language tells me, he's a lot more verbal, I think, and it's visible with his gestures that he really expects high standards from those around him. He strikes me as a guy that would say, no, Gaffer, get me on that pitch. Don't give me a rest. I'll play.
He's a strong influence in the dressing room, maybe even stronger than Solskjaer himself. So, love a bit of speculation.
Play manager.
Yeah. Okay, we've had a double game week announced. I don't know if you missed that amongst all that Salah stuff. Yeah, Ben Crellin, who, if you don't know Ben Crellin, what you're doing, you need to follow him. He basically he dabbles in fixtures. I don't know, dabble. He goes hardcore on fixtures, and
dabble is
it's not a word you describe Ben Crellin dabbling, would you? And he was joyous to announce that with the West Ham and West Brom fixture moving out from game week 18 to game week 19, it gives West Ham and West Brom double game week. So West Ham will play Burnley at home and West Brom at home in game week 19. Okay. Which is pretty attractive. Everyone getting excited about Antonio, even though at the moment he can't get on the pitch for more than 10 minutes. But if he's fit, great. But I think he'd be a risk. But game week 19 is going to see some more double game weeks, because what's going to happen is game week 18 is going to get cut in half, and the fixtures are going to move out to the midweek after game week 19 and form a bigger game week. So it's going to be a bumper double game week 19, which is why I've tried to keep the wildcard back with this in mind. So yeah, we can start planning for that. When are we going to hear about the other movement from 18 to 19? Don't know. But I don't think we can get excited and think, oh, Antonio is going to be our captain, because we're going to get some heavy hitters move out as well. So
they've not done the January ones, have they? Now I'm just looking now.
No.
They've not moved the times, have they? So
no, but that's going to happen, and that's the
that
thing
should be
that's going to
soon,
unlock
right?
it.
That needs
Well,
to happen pretty soon if people are going to be getting tickets. And
I
stuff.
presume it's going to have to happen before the Christmas break, so it could be a matter of
Yeah.
days, and then we'll know what the double game weeks are. And you free hit in game week 18 with 5
So
fixtures.
sorry, Mark. West Ham, West Brom in 18. It's not.
It's moved out.
on right, but it's not reflecting that on the.
Not
on
yet.
the FPL
No,
site
I
yet.
don't know
Okay.
why they haven't updated it, but they
Yeah.
haven't. But
Okay.
that is the case. So yeah, it's just something to keep an eye on. We'll be talking about it a lot, and of course, when we have double game weeks, we get very excited on every podcast and stream. On the Scoutcast, that was like a whole episode dedicated to it, wasn't it? It was very
Suchek
exciting.
triple captain mark.
Maybe. I think it's going to be the bench boost, isn't it? In 19, that's the week to play your bench boost. So we'll see.
Mitchell and Ferguson.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the bench boost is such a valuable chip. It always delivers. It never lets us down, does it? I mean, oh god, this is the other thing that FPL managers tend to do. We always upplay the role that chips can give us, the benefits they can give us. We always think,
I
bench
nailed
boost.
my bench boost last year.
Did
It's one
you?
of the few things I got right. I got 32 points, I think.
Did you?
But that's what we do, don't we? We sit there and it's like we're talking about the Salah thing. We sit there and we're trying to maximise every single point that we can squeeze out of every single player. And sometimes you just, your bench boost might just be one guy who gets 10 points.
Well, it was for me. I had
Right.
Delafeo. I think he got 18. He got 18 points.
Right.
Got 2 goals and.
That's all you need. Thank you very
I
much.
know exactly. Yeah, I'll take that.
You're going casual, Jay. Be careful. Right, let's look at the
Yeah.
fixtures for this game week.
You don't like that word round here.
Game week 12 then fixtures. Let's go through these briefly. So we've got an early kickoff. Leeds West Ham should be a good one. This should be goals in this as I see it.
Yeah, I've got a question on this
Go on.
for you both. I mean, mostly just to help me with my team. So I don't know if you saw Bielsa's great press conference
Yeah, I loved
where
it,
he just named the starting lineup.
Yeah.
So I've got a choice between Ayling and Lamptey this week. Obviously, Ayling's got the much better game, but he's potentially going to be at centre back.
I'd still play him.
Who's Lamptey playing?
Leicester away.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
Leeds. Oh.
yeah.
But he'll be attacking.
Yeah,
And Leicester aren't that good.
But I think Ayling will be attacking as well, just because he's playing one of the centre back spots.
From centre back,
It
you
depends
think?
what. Depends,
He's
is he
really-
playing free at the back, or is he playing? Are you going to play a flat back four? What's he going to do? Is
He said it's either going to be Phillips or Ayling at centre
Yeah.
back.
I'd still play Ayling, wouldn't you, Jay?
I'm all day long. Yeah.
I don't understand why you've got the Lamptey blinkers on. You've got to get them off.
I just love Lamptey.
I used to have this as years ago when Blackburn were in the Prem, and I used to put Gail Give in, and it was.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it was like. Can you imagine?
But have you seen Lamptey?
Yeah,
He's so
but he
good.
plays
It's
for
coming.
Brighton. He plays for Brighton.
It doesn't matter who he plays for. He spends hard. He was second striker in the game against.
Right, so you could lose 2-1, right, and he gets an assist, and that gets you 4 points, and you'd be like kind of pleased, but not really, a little bit pleased.
for 4.7, it's not
But
too
that's
bad.
he's got to get an assist. I don't know.
I think you're holding out for you think there's that big game week coming, and you think it's every other game week, don't you? You think it's going to be this
It's
one.
coming.
Yeah.
It
He'll
is
get
coming.
one. He will, by nature of the way he plays, there will be a game week where he assists in a
Yeah.
1-0 win or scores in a 1-0 win and gets 12, 15
Yeah.
points. But it's adding up all the scores in the weeks to get to that. Is it worth
No,
it?
no. Forget about that. Think how good that week's going to be, Jay. When I come on here and I'm like 15 points.
Well, I'll
Brighton
cancel
win.
it that week. We won't be able to. I'll be like, I've got
you
a
probably
cold,
will.
got a cold, can't do it. So, what do you reckon result Leeds West Ham? I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds. What do you reckon?
And you'd play Ayling, even though you think it's 2-1.
Well, because I would over Lamptey anyway. I think West Ham will score, but there's a good chance they won't.
I think it's going to be 2-1 as well.
Right, okay. And Jay?
I'm backing Leeds at home. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I mean, it's funny, isn't it, Leeds? I've got it in my head that they're good at the back, but they're not. They're very inconsistent. They sometimes look good at the back, and other times letting a lot of goals
Yeah, they're a nightmare.
It's an odd
I'm
one,
playing
isn't it?
Lamptey. I'm forgetting you both. I'm not playing hiding. You're telling me to play. You think it's going to be 2-1. That's
I mean, what I like about the Lamptey pick is it's like right in your back pocket, isn't it, for the end of the weekend, like a
True.
special
that does help.
treat.
It's my team. It's the last game of the week.
It's basically
attacking player.
Sunday the 13th of December. That's the Songs of Praise picks. That is Sunday at 7:15 on Sunday. Antiques Roadshow.
He was all set to save my game week this week, and then they lost 2-1. He got like 1 point.
Set to save my game week, Lamptey.
Not going to happen. Okay, Wolves Villa. I don't see too many goals in this. I do think Wolves will nick it. Jack's back for us. Are you getting Grealish back, Az?
Yeah, definitely. He'll be coming back in for Jota.
Not yet, though.
I don't want Jota over Christmas.
Right. Okay.
I've decided, so he's coming back in for him.
I think that's low scoring. That one.
Yeah, 1-0 Wolves. I think this for me.
I think 1-0 Villa.
Jay, who are you going to go for?
1-0 Wolves.
Yeah,
feels about right.
Podence with the goal, of course. And Newcastle West Brom. Talking of low scoring, I mean, I guess
Newcastle could have 12 players out.
Could they? Are they still going to play?
That's what they've said.
Really?
They said they could move out 12 players.
Okay.
And Gemma Harrison on Twitter just replied to the post, just saying she's a West Brom fan.
Yeah.
We'll still lose.
Yeah. Well, I think they probably will.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah. Again, I don't see many goals, but I only see Newcastle win. I'm going to go 1-0 Newcastle. Az?
I'm going to go 0-0.
Are you? Yeah, could be. Johnston coming in, just as I said, coming in with the clean sheet. Jay, Newcastle West Brom. I know it's not a thriller, but it's the 3:00 game on Saturday.
I think I was going to say what worried me about West Brom. Nothing worries me about West Brom, but what I found was odd about West Brom was they really capitulated last week, and I know they had a man sent off. But is it 1-1 at half time? I didn't watch the game. It was 1-1 at half time, wasn't it?
I think so.
And then they were down to 10, and then when I checked the score at full time, I found that kind of odd that they hadn't just really tried, to really capitulate 5-1. I thought was quite unusual. So I wonder if we might see a little bit of a bounce back. Newcastle haven't had a game for a couple of weeks. Ordinarily, you'd back the home team, wouldn't you, in this one? But I just think that was if West Brom are serious about staying in the division, you can't get tonked 5-1 at home to Palace.
Are you going to go for a
win?
No, I think they might nick a draw.
Okay.
Really
0-0 as well then.
Sorry, Gemma.
She was like, whoa. She was very close to jubilance there, but not quite. United City. I think we know which way Jay and I are going here. I'm going to go 2-0 City, at least 2-0 City. I think so. Az?
I don't know. United step it up against City.
Not at home normally. They normally get found out at home.
I think it's going to be 2-2.
Goalfest, Jay.
I think what's really helped City is De Bruyne's just playing once a week. He's not played the Champions League for a couple of games. Serge is back. I know he's not in the 11, and he said he's not fit, but he's him kicking around.
He'll be on the bench.
Give Jesus a boot up the backside. Sterling did score last week, although I didn't think he played that well. Morris did play. It's just like the perfect storm a little bit.
And the defence is so good. United are wounded.
Right, United are really wounded.
I think Morris could get something from this game.
yeah. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me that it could be 3 or 4.
Really? One of those kind of tonkins, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it wouldn't surprise me if I'm playing it. I'm hedging my bets by going 2, but I agree with Jay. I think it could be anything.
But what we would say as well is what Solskjaer has shown us over his tenure is that he pulls out these mad results just when you think.
Yeah,
this is what I mean. We've seen it time and time again with Man U City. Everyone always thinks City are going to absolutely thrash them, and somehow United get a 3-2 or even a 3-1.
The thing that makes me convinced though is the City.
Really interesting.
The City defence is solid, rock solid at the moment, and I think United will find it more difficult. Obviously, you expect City to dominate possession, United to counter, but I just don't think they're going to be nice. I mean, they got found out by Spurs, though, didn't they, City? So you just never know.
But there's also the bit we said earlier about De Bruyne. We really feel how much he's really on it this season. I can see a guy there that is hurting because he sees himself as an elite level world footballer, and he didn't add. Maybe he did add a medal to his haul last year. Did he win the Carling Cup or something? But he is not winning the. He feels that last season was a step back, they will say to themselves, you can see them going, look, lads, let's not do what we did last year. Do you remember when they beat us? Do you remember when we lost that game? You know, let's really make them pay this time round. And I think without the fans there and, you know, that derby sort of atmosphere, I think it plays into City's hands.
Yeah. Okay.
Imagine Fernandes and De Bruyne in the same team.
Probably wouldn't be in the same team. Probably wouldn't be enough room for them. They'd be doing the same things, maybe.
Well, get rid of Gundogan.
Who's on pens?
Fernandes.
Everton, Chelsea. Everton, Chelsea. I'm going to go Chelsea there. I think this is going to be comfortable. I'm going to go 3-0. I'll
go 3-1.
3-1. No, Everton will score.
3-1 Chelsea.
All right. Spoil my double clean sheets.
To ruin my week.
Jay?
Yep.
It's an interesting one, isn't it, when you sort of pause to think about it? What do you think Ancelotti's going to be trying to do here? Just stop Chelsea and try and nick it, or is he going to go out and play?
I think
he has to try and nullify him. I think, but will he be able to?
So again, there's that Everton's first game at Goodison with fans. Is that right?
Are fans there?
Yeah, in Liverpool.
Right.
They are. Yeah, they were at Anfield, weren't they?
Okay. Yeah. True. Yeah. No, it's true. It is. But
I mean, am I reading a bit too much into that? I don't know. But
no
I do
Ziyech,
think it makes a
so
difference. No Ziyech.
Yeah, but it's, again, the strong.
I was going to ask you, Mark,
Hmm.
because I thought Ziyech was going to be out for a while, but he's not. Because we've been talking about how Ziyech helps James push on because he tucks in. So is there more risk for James now Ziyech is out?
No,
he's only out for 2 weeks.
I think
so.
James has done too well.
I
think James has won the shirt now, and I don't think there's any question that he's the first choice, even with or without Ziyech. I just think he brings too much.
It's probably fair to say the only way Everton can win is like 3-2. So, you know, they need to outscore Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they'll win 1-0.
I just don't see Everton scoring 3 goals at the moment. James is worrying me. They haven't got the supply from the fullbacks. Coleman and Dino are out. They haven't got Delph at left wing back, so they're probably going to have to play Godfrey there or Iwobi there, and Chelsea are going to tear
it. You're relying on Delph at left wing back.
Their structure, isn't he? He's a big miss for the way they play.
Yeah.
I'd not thought of that. You're right. Yeah.
And James doesn't track back. He's not going to track runners, so he can't play out wide. So he's going to play in the centre. And I just don't see him having much joy. I think Chelsea are going to win convincingly. Everton might get one. Calvert-Lewin finds a way, doesn't he? So he might nick one, but.
I was surprised that they didn't go for... I've never seen the guy play, but I read a couple of reports from the games he played at. And again, I can't remember his name or how to pronounce it. It begins with N and he's 4 million.
The youngster, yeah.
I thought he'd have got...
People got him in thinking he would get chances.
I was looking at him because I was like, hooray, I can get rid of Ferguson. But he's not got a game, which I just thought they'd try and replicate Dean, in that style of play.
But he hasn't. He's tried some things out. And Godfrey, I think, will probably have to play there.
Godfrey looks like what he is, doesn't he? Which is an out of position.
He's a centre back, isn't he? Yeah,
exactly. He looks like.
He can't offer anything going forward, and in that position as well, I think he'll be exposed. I mean, Werner could be out there. We'll have to see who Chelsea play there. Southampton, Sheffield United, the early game on Sunday. That's the Garden Centre game. I think you can afford to be out for that one. Southampton, you've got to back them low. I think that. Ings will probably start. He's probably fit enough. They'll have to. And also, Sheffield United have got a weakness at set pieces. Ramsdale's been awful. That has been a massive failure for them, hasn't it? I feel sorry for Ramsdale because he's come in to replace Henderson. It was always a tough job, but he has.
I never expected this from Sheffield United. They're the worst team ever at this point in a Premier League season.
I think it's tough on people like Sheffield and maybe to an extent Burnley, whose strategy is based on, like guile and togetherness and putting your foot in and, getting a bloody nose. That, and when it's cold and the crowd are behind you, that's what makes
it lifts you,
a hard team to beat. And I think they've really missed having the fans and, even for Ramsey, you can imagine him, can't you, running out on the first game? Is he local?
He was there originally. Yeah.
So you can imagine running out in front of the Cop at Sheffield United and getting a big fanfare and feeling great. And instead, he's just this guy stood on his own with short sleeves, letting in loads of goals.
He has been.
Can't even give him the long sleeve top.
I do feel sorry for him. I do feel, but he doesn't give you any confidence. And at set pieces, Ward-Prowse throwing him in for Vestergaard, I think they're going to have some joy again with that. So. I'm going to go Southampton 3-0 win, sadly.
Yeah, I feel really sorry for Sheffield because I like them. I like what they're about. I've got a lot of time for teams that punch above their weight and they do it through hard work. And they've just really struggled, haven't they, with like the just the change to football just hasn't suited them, and their confidence is shot, isn't it?
Where are you going, Az?
One of my best friends is a Wednesday fan, so I'd never say that I like Sheffield United because he'd kill me. But yeah, they're just too. It's an easy one, 2-0 Southampton. Be comfortable.
Palace Spurs.
Did you
sorry.
just on Ings. I really liked his body language when he scored that penalty. Did you see that? No, you didn't. I definitely didn't. But,
You were looking away.
Did you not? Did you not? It really struck me as a guy, like the way he put it so accurately in the corner. I just thought, this is a guy that wants it, that he's back.
He's a class
and it was
player.
really important to him that he scored that penalty. And it was almost a sense of like, I'm fit, I'm back, let's go, let's do this. I think he could really be on it.
Well, he's the one player. Yeah, he's the one player I'd go Kane from, I think. Ings, if I had to.
Well, I'm looking at Calvert-Lewin. I'm looking at Calvert-Lewin and thinking, I know he's scoring every week, but Ings, I think, is a similar kind of. He could outscore him over Christmas.
I think you're right with Calvert-Lewin. One of the things I've noticed with Calvert-Lewin, he doesn't seem to get bonus. Is that because he's offside all the time? I don't know.
He keep losing every match, and he keeps getting one goal.
Right, and I think a lot of his goals are based on what we've talked about with the defence. They're not going to win many games if you're letting loads in. So he's almost like scoring consolations or 1-1 draws and stuff. Whereas Ings, you look at that, that Chef, you can almost see it, can't you? 2-0, Ings gets a goal and 3 bonus.
Yeah, and that's what pushed me up the ranks last season. I was around this stage last season, around 1.5 or something. I got in Ings. He's just scoring every week, getting those 3 bonus every week. Just him and Grealish saved me. Yeah, him and Grealish around Christmas. Yeah. Amazing. Did so well.
Palace Spurs, you can't see any but away win here for me. Would it be 1? Will it be 2? I'll go 2. 2-0. I don't see Spurs conceding either.
You know what, Mark?
Do you fancy Palace?
I just think Sellers Park away in the winter.
Not easy. No, I know.
With Hodgson's like 10 million people at the back and Zaha on his own.
It doesn't suit Spurs.
No, I just think it's a tough.
But they'll find a way, won't they? Do you not think Kane? They always have a hard game there, but Kane always finds a way. Normally,
they'll grind. I think there's a good chance they'll grind it out. But that's not the sort of game that you're going to look forward to watching as a neutral, are you? That is a tough like.
But Mourinho's turned them into winners, right? They've got a system that they can get results. And if they're going to get a result, you think Kane and Son are going to get something out of it. It could be just 1-0. I think it will be a battle of attrition, and Spurs just get a penalty or get a goal.
I think Palace are going to get something.
Do you? Right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going for my favourite score. I reckon it's going to be a 1-1.
1-1. Yeah. Okay. And
it doesn't suit Spurs.
Who did Palace put 4 against at home a few weeks ago? I can't remember who that was. When
Zaha beat West Brom. They beat West Brom 5-1 away.
Yeah, they beat West Brom 5-1. They've scored 4 against them
a few
weeks ago.
Yeah, I
and
don't
had
recall
Zaha
that.
and he only got an assist. And that was
Leeds.
Yes.
Right. So Palace, who scored 9 in about 3 seasons, have scored 9 in 3 games.
True.
I know.
So I know
no one was
Spurs
expecting that against Leeds,
were
they?
You know, so they're not as hopeless as we think.
No, I just back Mourinho's defence, which has improved a lot to withstand what Zaha can throw at them, and I just think Kane will find a way of getting a goal, like he did at West Brom. Look at the West Brom game.
So we've nailed Mourinho on his Anfield tactics. We've spotted that a mile off. That's going to be part of the bus and Nick one. What's he saying to Spurs when they go away to Palace on their?
It's tougher, isn't it? Because they're not going to get to counter attack because Palace will sit
Palace
deep.
is going to sit in with their selection of boring midfielders.
Well, I think it's going to be win the midfield battle and let Kane and Son come up with a bit of magic. I think that's what they got to go for. There's no easy way to beat Palace. I don't think.
No.
The thing I still worry about with Spurs is who is that creative spark in the team when they need to unlock the defence. They don't. It's Kane. Yeah. I know that. Well, that's it. Yeah, but then. They need Son to be basically playing as the striker to finish it off, and his pace doesn't really suit it. I don't know. I think this is a really interesting game for Spurs.
It's a tough one.
What could let them down in this title race is if they drop points against these teams that sit back, and we saw it against Newcastle. I mean, look at the amount of chances they had in that game earlier in the season. They just couldn't find a way. Then Newcastle got the 1-1.
But they did it at West Brom. That was on for a 0-0. A lot of people had Kane captain. I had Son captain. Son missed a chance in the first half, then Kane somehow got that goal right at the death.
Absolutely.
And I think this will be a similar game. Like, it could go the last 10 minutes and they just wear them down, basically.
If they do that again and they're getting results like that, then they've got to be taken seriously as title contenders.
Yeah, well, they are being taken seriously, aren't they?
Wow.
Okay, all right. I think they are. I think they're in the mix.
They're miles behind Liverpool and City still,
Okay.
I think.
All right, well, Fulham-Liverpool, we're writing this off as a Liverpool win. Do you think Fulham will put up any resistance? No?
I think they could, based on what I was saying before. They could. I'm not saying I think Fulham could get a positive result. I just mean, I don't like that West Brom capitulation last week that's a worry, isn't it? That's really worrying. Whereas Fulham, I thought they looked all right against City. They didn't look like a team low on confidence or a team without a plan or a team that weren't playing for each other. So that doesn't mean Liverpool can't turn up and really turn them over, but I don't think people should think Fulham are completely as terrible as we think.
Yeah, I think it depends when the goal comes. If it comes early, then Liverpool could cruise. But I don't think
Everton got a good result, didn't they? They got two quite quickly.
Yeah, they did.
And then in the end, actually, Fulham were
lucky. Fought back.
I'd hope Liverpool wouldn't concede. I haven't got a Liverpool defender yet, but I'm thinking about it. I will go 2-0. I think it'll be a professional performance. They'll see it out, but they'll have some scares. What do you think? More comfortable than
4-0.
4-0.
I think they'll thrash him.
If it goes 4-0, I think Mark's right. I think it'll need to be a bit like the City game to an extent. It'll need to be professional. And there were times in that game at Fulham at City where when it was 2-0, if Fulham had nicked one, it could have, when a game is just in that balance, it will need to be professional for Liverpool, but they could go 4 or 5 later in the game.
I guess if Fulham come at them, if Liverpool get ahead early and Fulham try and play some football and try and go at Liverpool, they could get picked off.
They'll have the fans.
Yeah.
They're going to want to attack
a bit more pressure to attack, maybe, yeah. Pressure to attack, is that something you associate Arsenal with? They haven't been doing much attacking recently. Arsenal-Burnley is a bit of a dour evening kickoff game on the Sunday. You could flick over to Leicester-Brighton, but I don't think that'd be much better. I think Arsenal win this, though. I think I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. I think Aubameyang will come out of his mire and get.
So who, Mark?
Aubameyang. I can't say it consistently at all. Jay, you have a go. What do you reckon here to Arsenal Burnley?
On paper, you're thinking it's a strong home win, don't you? But I think Arsenal are going to return to the mean, aren't they? They're underperforming at the minute, and this is a game that you'd be saying, we've got to win this, Burnley at home, come on. But then at the same time, it does mean Burnley can... I think if Burnley are going to get a result, they need to go and almost try and shut up shop and frustrate Arsenal, don't they? And play for a draw. But it's just... I know I keep saying this, the cold, wintry nights. I just think they're perfect for these teams like Burnley. Arsenal are low on confidence. If Burnley go there and rough them up a bit, and they don't concede early, you just don't know, do you? You never know. People I just don't. Barnes isn't going to be well received, is he? Like down at Arsenal at the minute, that's the last thing they need. Someone like him turning up.
Chris Wood as well. I mean, they'll cause some problems if they get set pieces, but I think Arsenal have got quality. They just need to wake up. I think this will be a win. I think this will be a win for them. And Leicester Brighton, should we go to Raz for this one because we know where he's going to go? I think
1-0 for me. For Arsenal,
I think you get a draw. I think I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1 in this one. What do you reckon to Leicester Brighton then, Ez?
I hate predicting Brighton results because whenever I predict we'll lose, we win or get a draw like Liverpool. Whenever I predict we'll win, we lose. Leicester are not a good team for us. Like historically, Vardy loves to just to basically ruin our high line and just absolutely destroy us. He's got an amazing record against us. I've sold him this week, but it's a reluctant sale. If it wasn't for Salah, I wouldn't have done it because I think he gets a goal. So they're going to get at least one. It's whether Brighton can score. I think Leicester will win it. Unfortunately, I think it could be 1-0 Leicester.
Okay.
I'd go the same. I think Leicester will win. It'll be I can't see it being a very exciting match.
No, definitely not. Antiques Roadshow might be for me.
I disagree actually.
Entertaining.
I think it will be an entertaining match because I think every game Brighton plays is an entertaining match because of how the system is set up. I mean, we play teams like Liverpool And you look at the team and you're like, well, there's no one. We've got no defensive midfielder. There's no defense. What are you doing? And then it actually turns out all right, and they play quite well. Like Brighton matches are, whatever you say about them being a good team or not, they do tend to be entertaining. I think it'll be a good game, but I think Leicester will have a bit too much for us.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's look at our teams.
Yes,
then.
James Richardson. I am stressed about Brighton.
So as you've made your transfers already, talk us through it. Someone there's a Salah shape object in your midfield, I see, and you've gone Bamford. So Vardy made way, did he? What happened here then?
Yeah, it's one of those moves. It just made sense. I didn't need to overthink it too much. The decision was whether to wait until later in the week or do it. And then it was one night. Salah was going up. Bamford was, I think, 98% on FPL statistics, so had a chance of going up. And Ziyech was definitely going down. So I thought, if I wait for this, I'm going to lose it on 0.3, and that seems like too much. So yeah, just did Vardy and Ziyech to Salah and Bamford.
So your team is Martinez, Chilwell, James, Lamptey is the starting defender, not Ayling. Okay.
At the moment.
Salah captain, Fernandes, Son, Mahrez, Jota, Calvert-Lewin and Bamford. So you got, you got the rises. I mean, I'm looking at the same two players, Salah and Bamford, but I've hesitated and wanted to hold on for more information. I wanted to see if Salah, in my head, I was like, well, if Salah plays in midweek, I won't go for him. And now it's happened. I'm like, oh God, am I actually going to go through with that? Am I going to pull the rug under that plan? So yeah, it's difficult. But I think the moves are wise. I think Vardy's an easier lose, to be honest, than someone like Fernandes for me.
He's just not in the same. He's just not in the same category as the likes of those. I mean, Mahrez is the pick. I mean, from what I've seen of Mahrez, I mean, even in the Champions League game last night, which I watched, I thought he was brilliant again. And he's playing with a lot of confidence at the moment. And we've seen him for City getting 180, 190 point seasons, like barely featuring. If he can actually keep the confidence he's got, keep the form he's got, and get a good run of games, there's no reason why he couldn't hit those heights again this season. But he feels like a big risk. So I don't know how many games he's got until I bin him off and go for someone a bit safer. But for now, I'm keeping him. Okay.
Any comments, Jay, on that?
I think the only headache is just the Pep rotation, isn't it? You just don't know. I agree with all your points. It's just
who
comfortable.
I was thinking about this though, but who really is his competition? I mean, there's Bernardo Silva, who seems like completely out of favour this season. Torres, does he play on the right?
It's Torres and Sterling, isn't it? Right. It depends where Sterling gets put, but
Sterling never plays on the right.
He can, but
Foden.
He can.
He often plays out there with
Mahrez is in the. When Mahrez is in the form of his life, why would you play Torres or Sterling out of position on the right?
Yeah, I mean, he seems to love
Pep
Mahrez.
Does this mad stuff, doesn't he? That's the problem. Why is Pep not giving Foden more game time in the Prem? It's like a mystery.
I know. He obviously doesn't see Foden as a right winger, because he would have played him when Mahrez was on a pretty bad run of form earlier in the season, which has made me think that spot is Mahrez's now. Given the form he's got, given the fact there isn't really anyone really making a big case to play. That's why I'm happy to keep him for a bit. But we know how quickly it can turn around. I mean, Bernardo Silva could start against United, and then suddenly he's an option again. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. All right, let's get to my team. I haven't made my transfers yet. That's the team at the moment with Kane captain. But obviously the moves that I'm looking at are Calvert-Lewin to Bamford, Fernandes to to Salah, and then the captaincy will go to Salah. I think Walker will play at United. I think they'll want his pace. I think Cancelo will probably play the West Brom game, so I'm going to keep both of them and hope that Cancelo comes in for the West Brom game and be a differential for me. I think it's looking all right, but I've got to take a points hit and I've got to lose Bruno and I've got to lose Calvert-Lewin for Bamford, which I'm not that comfortable with. What do you think?
I can't believe you're playing Ayling over Souček.
Well, no, I know Souček is a problem to me, because I'm thinking of even playing Souček over Calvert-Lewin, because I don't think Everton score.
Got to play Souček at Leeds over Ayling.
Yeah, over Ayling. It's a tougher call. It will depend on where you're right about Ayling's position. It is a close call, that one, but Leeds are brittle. And Souček obviously coming off a goal as well. So.
Got to play Souček. In this game,
I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Jay?
I think I'm with Az. I'd have Souček.
Right.
It's a bit like the Pedence one in that sometimes you can... I just think with those sort of players, if you've got them, there's so few alternatives. Just it's hard to predict when they're going to score. Souček, as we saw, will score, and he scored against United. Did you have him in for the United game?
He did.
Yeah, right. I've had him in for both goals so far, so I've caught him perfectly.
So I just wouldn't muck about with it. I just keep him in.
I know, and the times where Az has said, "Oh, you want to be playing Souček," he's always come in and done well for me. He got an assist the first time, and then he got the 2 goals.
I benched him in that one, and then I've sold him. Sold him now.
Yeah, so that is Souček is always going to give me that problem every week. There'll always be a player.
By nature of his style as well, he's got an opportunity to get a goal irrespective of the score. Or they're chasing the game and he goes up for a corner. It's not like, do you know what I mean? He's on for 90 minutes and he's always in and around the box. He's probably never going to score a really nice goal from a through ball, but you might rag one off a set piece, just like he did last week.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to leave my transfers till tomorrow. I'm going to wait for the press conferences just in case. I think Klopp will be questioned on rotation. I think he will get the Salah question again. And so we'll see what he comes back with, how convincing his answer is. So we don't get the embargoed stuff, though, because the deadline is before that, of course. So that's annoying. And, it'll be just our luck to get something out of the embargo stuff past the deadline. But it looks like I'm going to be making the moves that I planned all along, which will be Bruno.
What's the embargo stuff? Sorry.
Well, certain press, I think it's print press, get stuff held back until 10:30. So there'll be stuff said in the press conference that TV aren't allowed to use. So TV leave the room and press get their own session, and they get stuff that they can then put in their articles later on in the evening that TV don't get.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I never knew that.
Yeah. So that's why stuff comes out after 10:30. You'll get
on a Friday night.
On a Friday night. There'll be extra quotes basically on at 10:30, but we won't benefit from those. There's a guy called Colm who rounds all this up, and Scout do a good job of it as well on a Friday night. So it's always worth waiting until after that to make transfers, but obviously we can't this week. So
right, okay.
But I'll be waiting till last minute before I commit to my moves. I want to see what Klopp gives us, and just see if there's anything else nasty lurking around the corner. But I woke up this morning and I was much more sold on Salah again. Last night it was raw. I was like, what is going on? What is Klopp doing to us? I was pretty upset because I had my plan all settled, but in my head I'd said if he gets any minutes in midweek, I'd change it. And so I'm with that kind of dilemma, but I am going back now to my plan, I think, because I'm just fearful of Salah starting and ruining me. So, and he can do that. So, okay, Jay, let's have a look at your team. You haven't got your bench there, but I don't think that matters too much. But Salah's coming in for you as well. So what are you doing here? Son out?
Yeah, so I think so. And what I was thinking earlier in the week, this is a sort of question that, and it's exactly what Az was saying before about the with him not having De Bruyne. It's one of those questions that you get asked lots of times throughout an average day. And the example I was thinking was, if somebody shouts to you when you're hungover, do you want a bacon butty? And you say, yeah. And they say, do you want toast or bread? You just say, I want bread or I want toast, right? So it's the same thing. Do you want Son or Salah? Son or Salah, which do you want? Here's the fixtures. Which one do you want? That's it for me, because I've got the money in the bank. Why am I procrastinating? Why am I ripping up my team?
So which one's the toast and which one's the bread?
Yeah, I imagine Salah's the bread, is he? I always prefer bread with
I would
bacon,
prefer Salah out the choice of the two, and I don't think I think I just need to make that choice and live with it.
Yeah.
But
it's a free transfer, right? It's not like me where you're taking a hit. So that's the problem of mine. If mine was, I could do De Bruyne to Salah, but I don't want to lose De Bruyne.
Well, I looked at, because I've got 3 putting something in the bank. I did look at, can I get rid of Podence?
And Calvert-Lewin.
What would that get me? That would get me to about 9 million, wouldn't it, without doing a hit? And then I'm like, I was looking at losing Robertson, or because there's a lot of.
It's so hard. This is exactly what I had last week.
And then I was like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I costing myself 4 points? Because Robertson could easily get some points against, and like, why? Like, you're never gonna. This is like a Rubik's cube you can't solve. You just need to take as minimal hits as you can and accept that Son could get loads of points, but then so could Salah, because he's ace. Salah's like the best player in the game, right? So what are you worrying about?
What am I worrying about? Yeah, it's just me. For me, I'm losing.
You have a couple of hours.
I'm losing a player who's got 11 goals in 11 games, and I'm losing Bruno temporarily, perhaps. But I don't think Bruno does anything against City, and so for me, Salah will outscore Bruno if Salah starts. I'd expect that, right? So
I think your other win is if Salah does get if Salah is rested, at least you know then, and you own him, and you know he's probably going to play like all those, the future games.
Yeah.
It'll hurt you in the short term, but in the long term over Christmas, you can be confident that he's had his rest.
Yeah, and you can catch him against Palace if you want to take him there rather than go De Bruyne.
So.
Yeah.
So you don't think there's any chance of Stones hacking down Rashford in the box and Fernandes getting a penalty?
No, Stones is playing well. I don't know why you single out Stones. He's playing all right. There's a chance.
Stones was good on Saturday.
There's a real chance that Bruno will get a penalty. Yeah,
not going to stay in that team.
I think that's the beauty of Bruno, isn't it? Is that and we saw it. I know it was in the Champions League on Wednesday, but even when United didn't play crap and he doesn't play very well, he can often get points, and we've often seen that. Even when they got tonked by
they're the
Spurs,
best players.
He got brought off at half time, didn't he? But they still got 6.
You're trying to talk me out of it. Trying to talk me out of it now, aren't you? Yeah, this is why it's a hard one.
What's your alternative, Mark? Sorry.
Well, the alternative is De Bruyne out. I can do in one move without any.
Oh God!
But then De Bruyne has got West Brom at home the following game. Who's so he's got to come straight back in if I do that, which I could do.
Can you put your team back on, or is that
No,
your alternative is Bin Kane, Mark.
Alternative is to Bin, but I'd still have to make a hit.
You know what, Mark? It's funny about Kane, right? I remember listening to you. Do you remember the double game week years ago when Benteke scored at Anfield?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Funnily, if I remember rightly, Kane was playing Palace away that weekend. And I remember listening to the Scoutcast. So he had a single game week, Benteke had a double, and one of them was Liverpool away. And I remember you really backing Kane. And I think in the end, Kane blanked, or maybe he got an assist.
Got an assist, I think, yeah.
Right. But it's funny, isn't it, that you've clearly, it's a pretty good player to really, really like to have in your team, but I can see that you really, really like having Kane around. It obviously gives you it's a sort of player
unlike you, Jay.
You have comfort owning him.
I didn't mention that. We haven't got time to go into Kane next week. We've already gone over 2 hours. Yeah, it is. I mean, the thing is, Kane is such a home bank. He's going to play. He's going to probably get something at Palace unless Spurs don't
So you
win.
lost Son for De Bruyne, did you?
I didn't have Son, did I? Or maybe I did. Oh. Yeah, I lost Son for De Bruyne some weeks back. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So and everybody had to do the Spurs switch, which was like, if you want De Bruyne, you need to lose one of them.
Yeah, and then I captained De Bruyne in the last 2, and so he's delivered it, right? So that
so my dilemma and your dilemma is essentially the same, but in reverse. So
yes.
I've been I'm in the example of I'm going to keep Son, therefore bin Fernandes, and yours is.
I mean, the option I've got is I could sell Kane to Bamford, Jota to Salah. So I've looked at that as well.
I would definitely do that.
Would you prefer that? I mean, I looked at it and weighed it up, but it's just Kane is a big loss, I think, because of the fact that he definitely plays over Christmas. But then I don't think they'll get much at Liverpool. So that's why I was seriously considering it as well.
What have you got in the bank? Nothing.
I've got 1.3 or something like that. So I've got
Jota
decent.
Becomes about 8, does he, roughly?
Yeah, I haven't got enough to get anywhere near it with just Jota.
But Jota's too big a gamble, I think.
Sorry, what's that as? Jota's a gamble.
I was saying, I think. I mean, I'm a bit biased. I'm looking to lose Jota, but
you know what I'd be doing, Mark, if you can make it work. I'd be taking the money out of the defence.
Yeah.
Cancelo on the bench. What a waste of time. I'd even consider an 8 to get.
I did. No, I did. I was going to play an 8 on Monday, as we'll tell you. I was looking at Walker to Dallas.
Didn't like it.
Kane to Bamford. And then what was the move after that? I can't remember. Was it
Souček?
Yeah,
Souček
was
to
it?
Salah.
Yeah, Souček to Salah. So I could have done that, right?
Can you not do Grealish to?
Grealish?
He's not losing Grealish.
No way, I'm losing. Jack.
You haven't been watching BlackBox, Jay.
Wow.
Right, sorry.
You can't lose Grealish with the fixtures he's got. No, I mean I'm going to look at all the permutations. As I said,
I just don't think you need Salah and Jota.
No, well, the way why that appeals is because I thought, well, if I've got Salah and Jota in the same game against Fulham. But then obviously there's doubts now about Jota starting. I didn't know until last night Jota would start last night. So yeah, things changed, don't they? This is it.
You're in the same position that I was in last week because I was panicking about what to do, and in the end I went for the kind of safer option with Mahrez, and it cost me. If I'd taken the -8, I'd have been about 20 points up. I think.
I should have done the -8 on Monday. Yeah, I should have. I regret it now. I regret it now.
What we know as well is we know we're heading into rotation territory. So I'm looking at your team, and you back for every one of them. Maybe with the exception of Ayling, he might just. Is there an alternative to Ayling at Leeds? I don't know if there is. Grealish is nailed. De Bruyne is as nailed as you want. Fernandes the same. Kane the same. Calvert-Lewin the same. If it was me, I'd be trying to target the players that I'm not confident are going to play.
Well, I look at
Calvert-Lewin is nailed, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I know. This is it. I'm losing Fernandes and Calvert-Lewin, who are both talisman, basically.
So
I'm not comfortable with it, which is why when I saw the news last night, Salah playing 90, I was trying to talk myself out of it. There was bias there, definitely. I'm feeling better about it today, but I'm not sold yet on the move because I had a plan on Monday that changed. I let that one go. I let the prices rise around me. I regret that now, kind of. But a -8 when I've already lost 20 points to hits, it's difficult to swallow. But maybe I shouldn't worry about that. I mean, I'm an aggressive player, and it's I've jumped up the ranks last 5 weeks. Maybe I just need to keep on that path. So I've got another sleep right after this. Eventually, when we finish this, we'll be asleep. Go on.
Here's one. What happens tomorrow if the fixtures are announced for Jan? Would you look at doing your wild card?
Good question. I think it's too far out though. You can't really build a team for 19 now. I think you need that few extra, but it's an option. But I don't. But
at the same time, you'd still have all those transfers. You'd have how many transfers? 6 transfers.
Yeah, true. So you've got time to adjust it back. Yeah, I hadn't thought that. That could happen. Yeah, probably will happen at about 5 o'clock when the deadline's just about to pass. The last minute panic, and I'm playing a wild card in the last 20 minutes. So, don't say that idea, Jay. That's a nightmare for me. Okay, let's talk about captains briefly. I don't think it's too much of a decision. I mean, these are the captain matrix looking forward. We always had Salah in mind for this one. De Bruyne looks the favoured option for game week 13 if we think he starts, which tonight we've said we think he does. And then Fernandes looks interesting again for game week 14, which is why I want him back, because I think Leeds at home is a decent fixture for him. Not as strong at home, but you've got to think Leeds will give up opportunities to United. You could go Kane, you could go Son, you could even go Salah at Palace. What do you think about game week 14 there? There's a lot of choice. Would you go Salah there, Jay?
On the magic guide from the toilet, Fernandes v Leeds is the one that I wrote down weeks ago when I was planning. Yeah, I pretty much got it the same as you. Yeah, the ones in yellow are pretty much the same on that list.
Yeah, I mean, this has been really handy to do because I think it has helped me because it's helped me plan my transfers. And I think that you said about getting Kane back game week 16, there's no doubt about that because he's got Fulham at home followed by Leeds at home. So, that's why I don't really want to get rid of him in this move for Salah because I know. But then I've got my wild card, so I can. Yeah, but I've got my wild card in 15, so I can get Kane back. So that again, I need to think more. I need to spend another 6-7 hours into the night thinking about this before tomorrow.
You need a bacon bun,
I do, yeah. Toast or bread. And looking at the data, I mean, Mane's out in top. He's always comes out top this for expected goal involvement, non-penalties. He's ahead of Salah. It's close between Salah and Kane, 152 and 154 minutes. But when you look at the defence data, Fulham are bottom both over the season out of the teams where have got captain candidates against them and over the last 4 game weeks. So even though Fulham have improved recently, if you look at the last 4 game weeks, they've conceded a chance every 6.8 minutes. And XG non-penalty every 58.1 minutes, far and away.
Liverpool are going to hit some goals against them, I reckon, the weekend.
You think?
It's a well-suited game for Liverpool, I think, and the stats back it up. That's why I said 4-0. I think Liverpool are gonna win that comfort. I agree with Jay that Fulham have looked good. I mean, particularly against Leicester. I mean, Anguissa, I think is a real player they've got there. Anguissa.
He played.
Yeah, he's really impressive. I think he's just everywhere. Like he's so strong and so quick. But yeah, I think Liverpool will just nullify that and just smash a couple past them.
Yeah, I
still think they're the team to target, them and West Brom.
Yep. All right. Okay. Well, no doubt then on Salah for the captaincy. I think if you have him, if you don't have him, Kane, I think, is the top
I
candidate.
still like De Bruyne.
Do you? You still think De Bruyne?
I think if I had De Bruyne and I didn't have Salah, and I really like the idea of just giving him the captaincy for the whole of Christmas. And I know he'll get rotated and stuff at some point, but I think he's playing really well, and I think he'll get you consistent. You might not get the biggest score every week, but I think over that run he'll get consistent returns.
All right. Okay, we've done over 2 hours. We knew we'd do it one time, and it would be when Jay is on. We did have a few technical problems along the way, but I still think it was over 2 hours. I think as you've got to ask the guys to smash and like. Hopefully, if people enjoy, we had record numbers viewing. I mean, we're into
record numbers.
Yeah, I know. So it's brilliant. So thanks very much, Jay, for coming on and boosting the figures. Obviously,
thank you for having
just
me.
by your presence. It was amazing getting your input, particularly on a week where I've got such a dilemma, and you have given me some more food for thought. I've got more thinking to do, as if I haven't done enough already. As round off the show.
Yeah, so 1,732 people watching live, which is massive. That is really, really cool. But only 300 likes. So, if everyone who was watching liked, that would massively help. We're at 9.8k subs. So 10k subs and Mark and I'll be in suits for the next BlackBox.
I know. I was thinking about that. And also,
what more motivation do you need?
If you said you were going to be naked at 100,000, what do we get at 10,000? Do you take a sock off, or what was it?
Yeah, maybe. I'll do it with one sock, but you won't see it. Be subtle.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I don't know why you keep pushing. No, definitely.
No one wants to see you naked now, of course, I know. But it's years off, yeah.
Absolutely not. Especially not over Christmas time. It's been a time for...
It's a bad time.
For indulgence. But Jay, we'd love to have you on again at some point. It's genuinely... I mean, Mark coming back this season's been great. I used to love your masterclass videos, your 10-minute things you used to do. It's been great having you back and on this. And it's been an honour to have you as your return. Yeah.
We'll have you on again. If you'll come on, we'll certainly have you on again over the season. Perhaps at a point when Kane has punished us both. It's a good night for me.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Cheers.